Good enough can cost you the game, so stop settling. Wifinity is built for real life on base, so you can game without compromise. Posted somewhere new? Take your Wi-Fi with you, no hassle. Get fast, reliable Wi-Fi with Wifinity. Use code BFBS50 to get 50% off the first 3 months.
Hello everyone and welcome to the BFBS Esports Pro League Season 2. My name is Psycho and you're joining us now for the playoff stage, our very first playoff stage of Season 2. And alongside me for today, an extremely special guest who you may be familiar with from the Pro League last year. If you're into your Rocket League, this is Rocket League's finest community caster and an absolute legend of the scene. Danny boy, how you doing today?
I was trying to work out who you were talking about with the word legend being used, and it couldn't have been for myself as well. But thank you very much, Psycho. It is good to be back here. I remember, what was it, nearly a year ago when the first ever Pro League came out, when Stella and I came at the very sort of infancy stage of this competition, and to see it blossom into Season 2. I mean, just no more a couple of weeks ago, watching, of course, the F1, the League of Legends earlier last week as well, and suddenly now back to RL here. So, Psycho, I must give credit to you and the team behind the scenes. Great work so far, but you know what? Surely we want some RL action here.
Absolutely, and the work is far from over, and it's brilliant to have you back, Danny, to sort of get us underway with what is going to be the most important of the Rocket League sort of qualifiers we've had so far. Just to remind on the format, we've been through the community qualifiers, a group stage process of 2 teams of 6, moved forward towards Swiss, got stuck in with 5 rounds of that, and today we find 8 teams who have qualified through to this very stage. And I do believe we've got a cheeky graphic ready and prepared to show of the teams today. In that upper round, there is some real strength and some new people across the board, I think. It has to be said, Danny, but British Army Esports Buzzards and British Army Esports Falcons at that first sort of top upper round of 6 match. What do you make of that one?
Well, the fact of it is here, before even BFBS kicked off here, the inter-service was going around, Psycho, as you probably rightly know. If anybody tune in for the first time, it's usually when the 3 branches of the UK armed forces get together, and the army was decimated in that competition. It was actually the Royal Navy that made the biggest surprise. So the fact is that you have the top 2 sides from the British Army stepping up here. First of all, massive improvement already. Now the question is how good are they actually? And the fact is, and I was talking to Stelios Listry in our green room chat. Both sides here, I would suggest here, have split their 3 best players on their lineups. So the fact of the matter of it, Psycho, how well will they actually play here?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's a shame that we're not seeing some Royal Navy representation in the top 8, because of course they were just 1 series away, Danny. 2 and 3 in the Swiss stage were the Krakens, and the Tridents were really knocking on the door as well with a great record themselves. So the Royal Navy teams, they have what it takes to deliver and qualify through to this hybrid elimination stage. But looking at the other games in question in the brackets, the first one we're going to be covering for today is actually a bit of a grudge match. It is the British Army Esports Kestrels versus the RAF Mustangs, and on paper this one is tremendously close and also full of some question marks as well, courtesy of some new players on the block.
Yeah, I love how you sort of set and tee this one up here, because based on the 4 opening matches, this one in theory should be the closest. Rightly pointed out, we might as well go back to last week when it was the opening round for the Swiss stage here. The biggest not necessarily problem that I have with this one, Psycho, is how do you perform when you were the side that got beaten? And in the form of the RAF Mustangs, this is revenge, but alongside the fact of it is, this is a new roster in the form of the RAF. 2 new players to the BFBS, first of all. Jerome is former player of the Shadow, now captains on to it. I mean, you talk about new players. I mean, it's for once here, it's the RAF or the outright underdogs in that one.
Yeah, maybe so. And I think Kestrel's last time around, I'm not going to beat around the bush. I think they decimated the Mustangs in a 2-0 in that last best of 3 from the Swiss stage. But then you look back a little bit further towards the community qualifier and you realise, oh, they had another run in there. Mustangs got the better of that one. It was 2-1 in that series. And we've been able to catch all of those games on stream, fortunately. And so it's sort of teeing itself up to be a really close one. But like you said, there is some unknowns, I think, in terms of the consistency of both sides, it's fair to say, especially the Mustangs for me. Napsy and I-Halves, the new players on board, there are some sort of questions still floating as how they can perform over time. But nonetheless, it's been a great showing from them so far. If we look outside of those matches as well, just to remind everybody the actual overall format today. So it's a hybrid elimination. So 4 teams starting in the upper bracket, 4 teams starting in the lower bracket. And there have been some predictions that have been and gone, Danny, from the teams, sort of predicting their fates, so to speak. Jeromus thinks this first one's going to be a sweep.
Well, Jerome, shall we say, is a young man full of enthusiasm. Unfortunately, I'm a lot more cynical than when it comes to predictions here. But before even just the outright predictions, we dive into it here. The biggest storyline actually going into today is the other lower end match as well. The RAF Typhoons there, Psycho, because on paper they should have been arguably one of the tournament favourites. For anybody just tuning in my eyes, should actually be the #1 side from the RAF. Lost their title, of course, through their token match system. So the #1 ranked side, if you based it on like an ELO or a point over a 12-year Clumier, is actually coming in as the 2nd seed here. So if you're going based on predictions alone here, I think madness is the one word hardest so far to describe things.
Definitely so. So that is, of course, RAF Typhoons and RAF Nighthawks, which is the other sort of lower round bracket. And it is very strange seeing the Typhoons down in that position, I must say. And that is just courtesy of the life and the nature of these players and the lives they live. Unfortunately for last week, I think Envy was missing from that Typhoons roster, who in my opinion is still comfortably one of the finest players that this league has to offer. He was coming in as the inter-service 1v1 champion as well. So individually, we know his capabilities are through the roof. The Nighthawks, however, again, they're a fresh face, but not in terms of the players for that roster. But I still think that one's going to be a little bit one-sided. The Typhoons, I frankly just don't think they should be there, Danny.
No, there shouldn't be. And one sort of key point that also needs to be mentioned as well, voted by the community as well as the player of the season as well, Envy. So not only does he have the titles, he has the respect of everybody on the pitch, which is just a strong point here. But Nighthawks themselves, they're not a too bad roster. Can they provide the upset? Unlikely. But we might as well briefly talk about that one match that we haven't mentioned, Psycho, in the form of the RAF Storm Shadows by name, as well as the I suppose the tournament favourites in the form of the SEA Dragons.
Yeah, and it's a strange one because a lot of people, I think, are highly underestimating this SEA Dragons team. And when I'm sort of asking people and prodding them for who they think are the favourites, it seems as if a lot of the service personnel are almost discounting the roster of the SEA Dragons. Maybe that's just a bit of an unknown factor that's into it. Mr. Spud 777 has not taken to the field so far. He is their sort of 3rd man on that roster, if you can even call him that. Of course, the other 2, Ritzy and Line, representing Resurgence in the BFBS Pro League finals last year, made it all the way to the semi-finals. They are not to be scoffed at. Incredible, incredible players. But Mr. Spud is a 2K player in his own rights, and he's taking to the field for the first time today, representing himself in this competition. And it's going to be really, really interesting to see how they fare, especially against some RAF legends.
Joe, what needs to be mentioned as well, that they actually played with their substitute, Kiza, who going through the qualifier, when you go from a 2K player down to like a bit of a 1500 player, now don't get me wrong, he has collegiate experience and everything about it, but that drop alone, if you sat there and said if they're now in the lower bracket, you would have gone, okay, that's reasonable. But the fact is they were able to still persevere, have that ability to step up here. That's what you expect from last season's semi-finalists. But Seiko, I want to put you under the spot here because I know Affinity normally likes to throw a question or two here.
Okay.
Who's going to win this evening? Who's going to be the champion?
Who's coming out on top? There's one answer for me. There's one answer for me, and that is the SEA Dragons. I do just think on paper, individually, the quality of these players, I think, should speak for itself. And even if they're not firing on all cylinders as a team that's been together for such an age and competed against the brightest of spotlights, what they do have is individual quality, and that speaks for itself in this game. I've also got sort of a dark horse pick, dare I say. The British Army Esports Buzzards, I think, are definitely second to the throne at the moment with their current lineup. I think they are the ones to be feared at the moment. Of course, Bluey being the massive name introduced to that roster. We spoke lengths about him last week, and I don't think we can do quite enough, Danny.
Joe, it's always nice because I know you have a connection with Bluey as well, outside of the competitive side, and sort of knew him sort of growing up a wee bit. But the fact is, he is a legend of the scene, DreamHack champion as well. Plenty to sit here and say, and we could talk at great lengths about his professional career, outside before joining any of the services. And it's one of those thoughts here is who else is going to join? I've heard whispers around here, and Stelios is very good at your winding people up, as we know, Seiko, in terms of, oh, did you hear who we may have next here? But it's that genuine bit that we said last season of when potentially of who was coming through the ranks here. Last season we had the likes of Kaish, now we have the former player Bluey. So Seiko, when are you joining next? Surely at this point here, it'd be you suiting and booting onto the pitch here.
Well, look, someone's got to run the tournament. I thought I'd keep it nice and clean on the pitch because, quite frankly, if I'm there, I'm conceding 7 own goals a game, Danny. You know how it is with me. Competitive days are long gone, but I do believe we have some players ready and raring to go in the lobby. I've just seen Deromus, Stephen Andrews, or iHarves, and Napsy join the side of the Mustangs, and we're ready to get stuck in, Danny.
Well, it sounds good. We've had our fair share of conversation. We hope you are sitting home ready. It is, of course, the 16th of July. We extended the day of the sea weather. England was going to qualify for a grand final in their own in the footballing world. A repeat of 1966. Afraid not. 66 years worth of pain. Well, I'm sure Lyon and Ritzy had their own. Others, mind you, in the forwards like St. Jerome's last season around, snuck himself in 8th spot to get to the land final. How much he would love to do better. That, however, is the opening goal, and it's JDN to get it too.
Certainly some legacies on the pitch, and JDN is one of those players with quite the tale himself. And we fondly remember his efforts last season going into the BFBS Pro League Grand Finals. And Padster, of course, on the Sparrowhawks back then, was that new emerging talent on the block. And boy, does he have some.
It's always that sort of conversation, we sat here over the number of years. I know myself and Stelios, when we sit here and do the RAF show matches and tokens and, sit there and say, this player used to be on this lineup. Now, look at him go here. And now it's, everybody's turn on what they could and what they shall achieve. And Pastor, nice bit of delay work as well, too. But it's the 2 question marks on the opposite side of the RAF. What will they achieve on their first ever, shall we say, top 6 performance?
And one uncertainty in Mitch with a lovely 50 towards the corner as that ball barrels down in front of net. And there is simply nobody home to deal with the threats.
Well, for the opening game, maybe, perhaps, nerves. We are aware of perhaps one of them maybe with a reasonable excuse. Not necessarily a fan of it myself here, but we are aware of a few things that may be teetering around here, but, surely, the opening game, you want to stretch the muscles, so to speak, and, show what you have here. But, if you are sort of the Mustangs themselves at the start of BFBF, they were the 7th ranked team in the RAF. You would think you would try to keep the ball away from your net as far as possible.
Yeah, maybe so. And I think, well, the RAF, they don't do excuses in these competitions. I mean, we've seen many adverse circumstances going back to just last week's broadcast when we saw the RAF Shadows take a 2v1, or rather a 2v3 situation, actually in their favour. It was actually Death Stark Jr. who was having a bit of a problem, or Logan, LW, as that one's just going to ping off the post.
Logan, the man who was in the inter-service finals themselves in the 1v1 a few times himself, quality player, but haven't seen the likes of him, at least this evening, mind you. Panzer, we've seen him plenty for, touches it forward, and Mitch drops back, and Stephen Andrews, not to go off topic, but I'm pretty sure Stephen Andrews was the man that taught me chemistry a couple of years ago during my bachelor's, but I'm sure it's not him in particular.
Well, if it was, that would be a strange question mark. Kind of got away, as that's another ripper from JDN. It's 3 to the good now for the Kestrels.
Well, there's a thought for you. Just imagine seeing your teacher on the pitch or outside the classroom. God, you can only imagine the nerves and shakiness. You actually live outside of the whiteboard, but mind you, if you're Thomas Tuchel, you'd be certainly moving the magnets on the small clipboard and circle. And how do I stick 6 defenders on and still win this 1-0? Well, so far 3-0 leads much better.
Yeah, and at the moment, I'm just afraid that the RF Mustangs are taking a Tuchel-esque approach, and they need to start pushing this ball down forward and getting a grip of some possession here, as last time these two faced, it was a bit of a bloodbath for the Mustangs. They were kind of strangled in the attack and just couldn't find that all-important possession. And here they are, back in defence.
And I may as well mention the fact as well, and I'll probably get a bit of a ripping knowing my co-caster this evening as well. I may have given a bit of coaching advice to the Mustangs, and so far they haven't lived up to it.
You've coached. You're back in the coaching scene, are you, Danny? Is that what you're trying to tell me?
No, I'm not telling you that at all. I just may have accidentally stumbled upon them.
Right, so if anyone's interested, Danny boy, hit him up for some coaching. He's good at what he does, but nonetheless, Mustangs are struggling. You can avoid putting that one on your CV at the moment, but it is only game 1, and best of 5s for today is going to give an opportunity for the RAF Mustangs to kind of ease their way back into the match.
We may as well mention, we talked about it on the pre-show, the fact that it was best of 3s earlier. The 4A sort of played 1-1 in the set themselves here, and the respective wins and losses. So the best of 5, a bit of time, a chance to ease themselves into the game as your first real opportunity of the Mustang goes slightly too wide here. It's a question on what do you do in this scenario here? How do you reset and re-go?
Well, if only there was a coach on this desk who could answer that question, Danny, but we'll
Don't
keep the
you
suspense.
Start with,
we'll keep the suspense. We're too early for that. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness, he's almost just reverse pinched that across the entire field. That could have been Mustang's first goal of the day. As Stephen Andrews with no boost is going to have to go across goal, and that's a dangerous, dangerous task for him, but he's done very well to get himself a counter-attack chance.
I'm just going to kindly say it's on broadcast. I normally done it. Former semi-finalist not playing this season, of course. Hammersense is tuning in the broadcast right now. Of course, formerly coached him in the RLCS, as that's the first goal by the Mustangs there. Great goal of that too. Said, do you want to coach us as well too? So you're already advertising well here, Psycho. Can you advertise when the next game's captain?
We'll see. We'll see. Kestrels then for game 1, Danny, and it's quite a stomp here in game 1. There was a couple of glimmers of hope from the Mustangs at the end. We saw a few counter-attack chances being forged. We saw the space on the field, importantly, open itself up a bit more for some of those link-up plays. But really, it was quite an individual battle for the Mustangs. And I just feel that, you know, Kestrels, they have that shape. They have that ability to just wave away those 1v1 opportunities. And just basically turn them into nothing.
Certainly so. And, going into this evening, I thought the Kestrels were the favourites for, the fact of it that I have the most experience, the ability, as you rightly said, just the structure and shape and what they're able to do. But, it's that sort of problem as, in the opening game in any competition is, you ideally want to start how you want to begin the matchup, strong, dominant, and, don't concede early. Everything the Mustangs done wrong there was essentially epitome of that thought process. Game 2, on the other hand, they don't have to worry about it. It's not like the community qualifier where, we've got to win this one here, because if we do, we're essentially knocked down to a lower side of a bracket now.
Yeah, this is a big game nonetheless, though. Game 2 in a best of 5. And after such a dismal sort of game 1 for the Mustangs, they're going to be looking for something more, as Deromus is going to tip that one high and make it a little bit uncomfortable for JDN.
A nice bump. And Padster.
Oh!
Pinch me, because that didn't happen.
Yeah, I'm still thinking that. There's a bump from Stephen Andrews. Padster's backflipped and the ball's been 50'd in front of net. And quite simply, Deromus has done what Deromus does best and barrel his way through to no tomorrow.
Well, he certainly knows a way to find the back of the net here. Deromus reached, of course, AFEI in 2025 through a goal that tuckered in by him. Good save, mind you, by Stephen Andrews on the other side to hold on to the lead. JTN, touch forward, Padster to the back wall itself, should be into a bit of space, but Mitch has other ideas, and just like that there, I suggest here we may actually have an even game now.
Lovely demo and a drop-off from Stephen Andrews to keep the possession flowing downfield. That's what we want to see from the boys, as Stephen Andrews is beaten. And Napsy might get bested with a bump here, but somehow finds that touch.
Nicely poised once more by Padster. It's wide, mind you. It is an awkward ball, and it needs a gentle touch. The second's ideal. The third is wonderful, and it's just been tipped to too far away. Napsy at the touch, and Deromus moves right into the spot where he needed to be. Fires right on target, and Stephen Andrews whips it away.
Stephen Andrews also downfield for another touch. He's going to play it back. Cookseer-esque back pass ball. That is the era we live in, Danny, and it's good to see it once again. But that ball's going to go straight the opposite direction. No demo found on Deromus, and the ball itself not even quite on contact.
Sitting here talking about errors. And in the green room just prior to this one here, and he knows rightly where I'm going with this, just starting out proper in the commentary, Psycho about 4 years ago. Oh, look at this clip here. Well, the man made plenty of clips here. Will we see another one? A defensive hurler, perhaps, not this time around, by the British Army, sent right down here. And you want a few oohs and ahs here, and well, it is certainly the complexion of the game, mind you, was nobody's actually prepared to take a shot on target.
Not quite, but that one's going to get a little bit closer. Deromus, no contact found. And if we do see anything reminiscent of a certain goal from a Polish qualifier we casted, Danny, I'm going to let you take the wheel on that one. I'm just letting you know well in advance, as Deromus is going to push this ball into the attack. And Mitch just left to flounder a bit here. Another chance opens itself up, but just wide from Deromus.
Well, I can think of a few candidates who may go for that particular style of play or goal, but will it be in this particular matchup? There is still time, of course, here, but we don't need the miracles, we don't need heroics, we just need a simple ball put into that sort of 6-yard box to make it dangerous. The back pass not happening as Deromus, towards what checks back here, gets the ball right into the dangerous area. The ball will come in, wide up the mark here, and Napster simply just has to get this ball away and buy a bit of time, and Stephen Andrews decides to become like a, well, let's say, an airline. Just flies right by, forgot where the airport was, and decides, you know what, we'll go to Tenerife there.
Deromus is going to need to go a little bit higher to reach that ball. But flying high is Mitch from the Kestrels. It's a really nice read on that backboard to get them started.
Well, started, yes. ideal, not quite. And the RAF Mustangs themselves will be certainly scratching the back of their heads, wondering what they should do next year. Ideally, find at least a passing play here. It's now a stutter. Doromas will bail it out. It is a good 50. Back into the box it goes. And Mitch with the soft touch. Stephen Andrews once again in an ideal spot, but not prepared to put that shot at least into a tempting spot to make the keeper force a mistake from them.
Master's looking a little awkward here. He's pushed far too far downfield and needs to recover and has a teammate to bail him out. There is JDN. As now Mitch is going to really take it slow here, and he's done well to just collect possession there, but it's wasteful from the Mustangs.
Mitch DeRomas back into the final third here. Should be Panzer's turn, and Stephen Andrews. It is a back pass. It is the Cook's way of playing, but there should be about 3 or 4 more back passes before we see that ball loitering onto the final third. Back it gets sent into the midfield here. It looks and shall be OT here.
I don't want to call it too early, Danny, as JDN now on a
OT.
counter-attack. The ball's going to ping up high. It's just going to be squished down midfield. Mitch isn't going to quite make contact, and we do have our first overtime of the day.
First one of the season in the top 6. Now the vital importance. It is also that sort of psychological advantage. Stelios talked about it quite a lot in the previous pro season. I'm sure he did mention it when he was on broadcast. He'd be probably telling the lads right now, if he was in their comms, what to do. Sadly, address it.
Oh,
and
no.
Jeromas, he saw the ball. He's seen the danger. That's as far the story goes.
Oh, no. It's tragedy. Absolute tragedy for the Mustangs. And Kestrels are going to come away with that game thinking they've absolutely got away with it, with one match potentially to play.
It's that sort of bit of the awkwardness off, but you know, you're in that sort of position. All what you have to do is jump, and the ball's sort of touched in a bit of safety. You have a teammate there, and suddenly now, I'm sorry, Sego. I'm trying to find a way of politely finding a soft way of saying it without causing blame here. He will be the man that will be known that cost him game 2. There's no ifs, buts, or maybes, but it's putting that back of your mind here.
Yeah, it's going to be an impossible thing almost to just put into the back of your mind and forget about. It's one of those where you dearly want to do better. And moving forward to this game number 3, Kestrels are in a position to give themselves a burst of energy moving forward to that next lower round of 6, Danny.
It's going to be massive, that round of 6. It looks like we will be sitting and wondering what is going to be happening here. And Joe, if you're the Kestrels, essentially you'd be somewhat hoping here, Psycho, and saying, right, we just need to get one decent play here. We don't need to over push all the pressures on the opposite side. But I mean, we know Stelios quite well. He'd probably be sitting the hardest game is the one to win it. Is that going to be true here?
Maybe so, and time will tell as Napsy's going to go in and out of his own net to try and see that ball to freedom. Mr. Romas is going to play the hero and just bail out his team there. Another looping ball goes high. Here comes Stephen Andrews to look for a pickup on that touch, and he's got a redirect to the corner. And I'm liking the sort of proactive downfield positioning at the moment from the Mustangs. It is leaps and bounds above what we saw from game 1.
More. We want more. This is going to be the question of Oliver Twist, mind you. You cannot have more as the old Tupperware hits the wooden table here. How much do they want it? They're starving at the back lanes. A pass and play to Doromas, and it just gets pushed right into the corner. There is that issue in terms of throwing possession away. You need to find a teammate with it.
Mitch now with a ball high, and he needs support, but there's no boost on the end of the Kestrels to do anything with, but he's still going to get there first as Napsy's going to just flounder past that ball. Padster now for a chance in field, aims towards Mitch, but I think wisely they chose against that.
Smart and experience, just a soft touch away and realising there's not much danger on this one.
Ball's going to ping straight off the moon and back. That's a lovely pinch, and Stephen Andrews with an acre of space, if not more, to play with as he waddles downfield. There's no 50-50 found, so possession back towards the blue half. Padster now for a sidewall read that we know he's very confident indeed with. Couldn't quite materialise.
Stephen, air dribble, pass and play. The teammates waiting. The connection, mind you, not hit, not found. And Padster down on the other side, surely.
That one's going to be loose for JDN. He's beaten one, perhaps two, if Napsy can't get a touch here. That ball now ready for Mitch to collect, but it's a double bump. And the clash of heads has resulted in one massive concussion. And Deromus has just strolled straight through the action, thinking, what has happened here?
That's poor game management by Deromus. You know, a
What
proper
do you want him
1v...
to do there?
Well, a proper 1v1 player would have sat the ball on the line and made the opposition track back.
Well, it's going to be 1-1. Game management, put that beside you, because I think no matter how many seconds he delayed on that goal line, that one was quite inevitable.
Yeah. But at least we wouldn't have seen it for at least a few more seconds, though.
So what you're saying is he should have kept it on the line to delay the agony.
Yeah. Do you not play to make your opposition suffer?
Oh, well, I'm glad I've got such positive mentality in the booth with me today, Danny, as Mitch downfield can only go as far as Deromus. JDM for one big beat, and Mitch now with a chance to rip in a giant goal for the Kestrels. And just look how prepared and ready he was for that pass to come across. And the only way was net.
Didn't realise we're going to be hitting the sort of the top pops. Will it sort of be the Beebs top 40? Or will Stephen Andrews find a ripper right here off the backboard? Somebody to follow. It's up. It's there. It's crying for Deromus. Please hit me into the back of the net. It's crying for it, beckoning. Unfortunately, hasn't happened. The Kestrels has kept it out. Not once, not twice, but 3 times. And JGN once more clears his line.
Stephen Andrews is going to prod and hope towards that left-hand corner, and I like that safety zone of the corner, but you got to do something to escape because the Wolves are still hunting. It's a great demo from Padster to open things up. Napsy now to just hit high, and possession recycled in an instant again as two are stretched out of net, and now it's getting a bit scary.
I didn't realise you got a new technical term there, Simon.
What did I say again?
Sort of the technical zone, the safety zone, you know, all that sort of... I say ball distribution and I get scolded for 6 months for it.
Well, don't worry, I'm still going to continue at it, Danny, because it's a terrible term. Ball distribution. The ball's always being distributed. That one's towards net. As Deromus is going to funnel the ball infield. Finds Stephen Andrews as the blue team still encroaching on this orange half. Napsy now forwards towards Mitch, and it's just real ping-pong-esque sort of situation we've got here, and I'm just waiting for the game to settle down a bit.
Don't think it is. I think we're going to see it, sort of this volatility and the sort of proverbial shake that has developed into this game. A couple of flip resets and the ball glances wide, mind you. The only thing that has been steady has been essentially the clock on the top of your screen, and Mitch is unfortunately too wide. Deromus not taking any chances here.
Yeah, and a nice pre-jump to cover off the angle, and he's done well to basically single-handedly escape his own back half, and there he is to finish the loose ball in front of net. Open up by Stephen Andrews with a huge bump on that player on the wall and a follow-through demo on the third, and we've got an even game.
At least in game 3, still, mind you, and more importantly, 2-0 down. From the RAF's perspective here, in the current standings of the RAF zone community, the 4th best team. There were 7 coming in here. They need to get a win on the board if they want to survive here. And it's going to be Napsy from the other side here, touches it forward. We've had 1 OT. It lasted barely 20-odd seconds. And that one's been saved up the line. Could it be a heartfelt blow? Not yet.
Well, we saw what happened the last time there was a kickoff, and I am wincing for what could be a Kestrel's cruise towards a 3-0 in this series, and ideally want it to go on for longer as Napsy settles the ball down in front of his own 6-yard box, and Stephen Andrews to bang it forwards. Another high touch towards JDN, but it's going to go astray, straight towards Stephen Andrews.
There's Stephen. There goes Stephen. Now it's his teammate's turn. Jeromus is lurking just outside, and back he goes, and Stephen rotates in now as first man to continue what would be the fourth phase of play. Perhaps with the fifth. Jeromus, no touch, and that surely is the end of it.
The end is here, and Kestrels have just punched through their way to a lower round of 6 in what has been an enormously stacked competition, and they've found their way through, and they're going to be looking at who is that next potential opponent to come through. And I think, this series has only lasted the best part of 20 minutes, Danny. We thought this one was going to be a nail-biter.
So at this point here, if you want a sort of a proper nail-biter, I mean, are we going to see you on the piano here?
Don't you take Stelios's comments as gospel, okay? I wish I was a gospel piano player. I'm certainly not.
Oh, no, I've got a better idea, riffed off. Because I know he plays a few instruments.
Oh, maybe so. Maybe so, Danny. You know what? If we get to a stage where a team is going to get us a 3-2 game, I might consider it. I might play a tune for you all. How about that?
I thought you were going to say if in the best of 7 and it goes into the decider. But, I don't believe there will be a game 7. But what is, however, Psycho, is, not unfortunate. It is a loss for the RAF Mustangs. One that, as you rightly sat there and said, should have been, a game that got us to the edge of our seats. And, it's like a balloon. It's just deflated slowly. Sort of going, when is it going to start?
Yeah, it's an unfortunate reality. And as we look ahead in the bracket of what next to come, the Mustangs, they're out of the competition. That's them done for the first half, Danny. But British Army Esports Kestrels, they might advance to play either the Storm Shadows or the SEA Dragons. And we're just going to have to wait for those results to come through. And we'll be with you after a short break.
Paralyze.
Every millisecond counts. And in here, every millisecond counts too. Never let delays ruin the action. Upgrade your Wi-Fi to Wi-Finity. Use code BFBS50 to get 50% off your first 3 months.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to, of course, the Pro League itself here at BFBS. It is qualifier number 1. We have moved, shall we say, further down this lower bracket. But mind you, legacies of course, the community is going to be on our pitch. You might be wondering, what do you mean on this here? We have 2 sides that have already faced before back in season 1. Twice we've had it before. They went to and through, but it is, shall we say, the RAF Storm Shadows at the time. Back in qualifier 5 and 7, 1-3, 1-3-0. The furthest, mind you, was them overall, but it was the inter-service earlier that year. It was the British Army, mind you, that had the upper hand. Psycho, I hope I haven't given the game far too away here, but do you think everybody may have worked out what match is next on our stream based on that?
I'm not sure, but I'm going to spell it out for them just to make sure, Danny. And I'll tell you what, we've even got a complimentary graphic to go with it, because we do it properly over here. And as we move forward to the lower round of 6, Danny, we are going to be streaming the British Army Esports Falcons versus the Royal Air Force Typhoons. Now, I'm really excited about this one. The Typhoons back at full strength. Do believe Envy playing on the roster, so we're hoping it's going to be a tight one.
Well, if history was to go behind everything, it should be the RAF Typhoons, based on the naming convention and how things are at the moment. But the RAF has previous won many of the qualifiers last season around. The last time, in fact, I might as well throw you a wee bit of a pickle here, Psycho. Last time Falcons was in the final. Do you know when it was and who against, by any chance?
In the finals? That would have been inter-services.
Oh, I'm talking in the Pro League itself.
Oh, in the Pro League itself. Oh, now you're putting me on the spot.
I'm
You've just
here.
Stranged my knowledge far too far, Daddy. I'm going to hesitantly go for number 6 and pray it's correct.
No, it wasn't.
Which one was it?
I think you actually technically named the only qualifier that I didn't do as well.
Don't tell me you forgot.
No, I didn't. I was building it up. Qualifier number 2. That's how long ago they were last in the final. Do you know who the finalists were that evening?
I couldn't tell you. I couldn't tell you, Danny. Who were
Well, if I told you they were semi-finalists at LAN, they give you a small hint.
Ah, right. Okay.
Signed
Well, I
up for
don't
the season.
think it was Resurgence, because I believe that's when they were doing a bit of a flip-flop, but I can't quite work it out.
Well, I'm afraid it was no boost, just vibes at the time. Lion and Ritzy with Lenzo, who was the 3rd before they, of course, that massive shake-up last season around. So, as I sat here and said in the build-up, Psycho, it was quite a matchup. We've got legacies, history, revenge, a derby, a battle between 2 of the branches. It's a question of who's going to be on top here. It has been the RAF Typhoons who's had the number of late. Is there any chance on the Falcons getting the victory here?
I think there always is a chance, and I think if we look at the Falcons roster as it stands, Gids, Wormsley and Rush, these 3 have long given a fight to the RAF Typhoons roster as it is now in past, and they've made it awfully close in best of 7s throughout time, I think, Danny. But there is a little bit of a difference here, and that is that Onza has moved on. He's now with Bluey and Wuck, of course, and that is sort of their star man gone, and they're going to have to, fight between them to try and get their footing back.
Well, we'll have a fight, but we could settle it on the pit, Psycho. 2 respective sides, 2 legendary sides of the Pro League itself here do battle once more. That's not an upper final that we normally see them in here. This, mind you, a lower bracket. It's a question on, is the RAF once again going to do, shall we say, a number on their opposite counterparts in the form of the British Falcons? Are they going to, shall we say, scurry with a thumping of a 3-0 like last time?
Well, maybe so, and it remains to be seen. But I did have a chance to play some games, actually, against Envy yesterday. It didn't go well. I got absolutely hammered. And it's Jan Byrne Ballon d'Or, a.k.a. Envy, to kick us off with the first.
Recently, of course, hit 2K. The first to remember of the RAF community to do so without joining from prior experience. And of course, furthest one that went through the RLCS qualifier, of course, through the RAF at the time, of course, the Storm Shadows. The low 5 looking to set up the man that we've been talking about for some time. Even game.
It's a lovely play, isn't it? And it's just a little pop over the top, over towards, I believe, Wormsley, slotting that one straight through the middle.
I feel like this is one that we have woken a bit of a beast within each other here, Psycho, because I know there is friendly rivalry, but once you go onto a pitch, it's no longer friendly.
I forgot to. And I think between these two teams, it's always been friendly in spirit, but on the pitch, it's far from it. As now Wormsley's going to try and feed a ball infield. It's a lovely low 50 by low 50. It's kind of in the name, but not towards net.
Where we're a high 50 or a mid 50, or I just need a cuddle 50. Where's Liam?
I think the I just need a cuddle 50 would end up being quite something for these two teams, don't you think?
Well, the last time we saw a cuddle on broadcast, it was Steve the Deal and Stelios back in Germany. But we have yet to see anybody reach their arms across the aisle. Envy, mind you, straight down the aisle. That was on target.
And I feel like you just missed a trick to say Cuddles, of course, the wonderful player from RAF himself, as Ballon d'Or. Oh my goodness, that one's not in the back of the net. Not going to be winning that award anytime soon, as Wormsley now to feed that one in front of net, but it's saved away at the brink of death by Pearce.
Excuse me, it's Captain Cuddles.
How right you are. Little pop over from Pearce. No finish materialised there, and low 50 is just going to have to try and do it all by themselves. End quote.
Said the man in the shot. He looked strangely at the dark and dreary corridor that he once thumped the ball. He mutters to himself, of course, why did I do this?
It's not a good start, is it? It's not for the Typhoons, and it's 2 goals suffered early. Make that 3, and it's gone from worrying signs early doors to a threat that you simply cannot pass by.
Well, there's been big question marks, and did ask Stelios, is it okay to refer to them as the Storm Shadows? Because in sort of heart and spirit, they essentially are. But as you see them on your screen, the Typhoons, the second-ranked side on the latter system for them. They had, mind you, of late struggle in competition. They entered service when the first time they ever got beaten in that competition by an RAF team at the time, of course. It was the Tempest, as Noah. And in that qualifier, they struggled to get goals at crucial points. Psycho, I don't think going 4-1-0 down is a crucial point. I think that's just a crisis now.
Yeah, but they've still got half the game left. And so I am going to play a bit of an optimist here. It is possible for the Typhoons to work their way back into it. Courtesy of the floundering early on, really.
Always the happy one, Psycho.
We'll wait and see how this scoreline ends up before we speak any more on that.
Well, we might end into a sort of a children's set of series here. Will it be Mr. Bumpy or Mr. Happy? Or perhaps Mr. Tickle here, Pod, with the ball straight popping down. And unfortunately, the brick wall himself, P, disrupts all the fun.
Envy's got a little bit of support on the right-hand flank, and it's a 50 straight down off the heavens. No contact found from Pearce, and that was an absolute sitter that he needed to push into the back of the net, but just a little too eager, I feel.
Well, nothing wrong to show that you want to, of course, have that opportunity, but it's knowing when to go. And that's, of course, Peace chance. Blocked it goes straight to the corner. Surely this is, and unfortunately here, I feel like the British Army side has missed a trick here.
It's going to bounce down. It's a ferocious touch from Pod to relieve the pressure, and well, Pierce is going to scramble back to play a bit of disruption. Envy for the solo play and has an opportunity for the bump to support, but that ball whisked away.
It is to Pierce. Back it goes to the captain. Doesn't unfortunately do much with it, and it's a loose ball at that too, and I feel like we might be hitting a few top hits here. Ha is here. Aha. At this point here, we might have ABBA.
Oh, and that's almost going to find the back of the net. But there is simply no hope left for the Typhoons, I think, at this point. And it's just a matter of sort of interpreting this game. What on earth has happened for the past 5 minutes? They have settled into a little bit of a groove, dare I say. And they found a bit more possession downfield to play with, and just not enough time on the clock to work with it.
Do I boldly say this, Psycho? Bring back Stale.
Well, he's always there. You can guarantee he's going to be in the back lines and giving a bit of support to his team on a day like this.
I'm talking back as a player.
Well, still, if there's one thing that is inevitable, it's him taking to the field when he says he's done. But it is the Falcons to come away with, I think it's fair to say, a really shock performance there in Game 1.
Well, there's very few teams in terms of sort of history where I'll look at it in terms of we've seen a very dominating side here. I think you actually have to go back in terms of last season's inter-service, where it was essentially two sides that had blowout games. I wouldn't describe this as a blowout game by the Falcons, mind you, Psycho, because it was controlled, it was tempered, it was poised, it was everything a good side should be. It wasn't the case of Typhoons played badly. They just executed better.
Absolutely, and I do have confirmation of the players who have aptly renamed themselves. Low 50 is Gids, Okra is Rush, and Sam, pod.exe for that one. So a bit of a star-studded lineup it is, but it was also a massive, massive performance from Okra, as he calls himself in this series.
I do love how the players also decide to change their names. I won't name, Joe, I will name. I'm just glad I don't have the RLCS, the likes of John AKO is. He would have told the players to get out of the lobby, and until you change your name back, you're not allowed back in, and he would have started the DQ timer.
That sounds like the John that I know and love. As Envy is going to feed the ball in field. And a ball rattling above the crossbar to kick off game number 2, as RAF Typhoons are trying to step into a position where they can have a little bit more confidence in their play. Dare I say, as another shot is just going to go a bit wide.
Envy, of course, the 1v1 inter-service champion that we mentioned about an hour ago. We have yet to see him flurry yet. We've want to see something special. We're asking to see something special. And so far, it's been a single ready meal right in front of the TV. We want the 5-course meal, Envy. Come on, give us something here.
He's missed his boost, and his supper has gone to waste as Envy's back again with a big whiff, and that's a demo right in front of Pierce, as he's thinking, what on earth has just happened to my attack going forwards, as Pod tries to go for a double touch off the backboard and does well to keep it in that half.
Wonder how many times you can miss the ball and call it a fake in comms.
Well, there's one person called the fake, and he's going to hope to not get one this time around. He tries to weave it under that last defender. Okra now to the backboard, and a shot blocked away from Pierce, as now he's going for a solo escape towards blue territory.
Land beat last player. Back, of course, for the Typhoons. I won't lie, and as anybody knows rightly, of those 3 players, it feels wrong calling them anything other than the Storm Shadows. But that's the situation they are, somewhat struggling within their competition. Of course, there may be shake-ups within the RAF. They have been a stonewall for the last 2-3 years at this point, and they have yet to score a goal here that has settled the nerves. But hold on. Hold the front door. There is the inter-service champion in 3v3, in 1v1, and if he had 2v2 as well, he would have a clean sweep.
And what he also is the world champion of limbo. He's somehow got underneath those defenders, and I'm not quite sure how. It should have been easy pickings for those last two, but they both dove, just knowing the sort of just presence of Envy and how simple it can be for him to make chances of nothing. They were scared of him.
Quite literally said to the defence, how low do you want me to go? Well, he went to the ground, well, he went to the sky. But how are they going to shake this game up? It's only a slender lead, mind you. Half a game gone by. And it is, mind you, Pierce waiting on the boost, tips it forward, marginally at that. It's not significant enough to cause a few problems.
Envy sitting, waiting and wishing he's going to have an opportunity on this loose ball. He's going to slam it to the left, and Pod has made a bit of a hash of that. It's another chance for Pierce as that one's blocked away towards the corner. Downfield we go now for the Blue Boys, as Envy can only go as fast as Okra downfield. It's looking a little bit more sort of hit and hope downfield, but I'm sure there's going to be an opportunity out of nowhere at this rate.
Well, the only question is it eyes closed or open? And it will be a secure here to tie it up. And once again, the Typhoons let something slip.
That's a big double commit. And it's an egregious one that Typhoons are going to sorely wish they could just sort of dismiss and get on with. But it's going to live in that mind.
It's a cruel game. Suddenly you get a goal back and you feel like you're one of the best players and teams around, and suddenly a goal like that there, you question yourself, doubts start creeping on in, and that, my dear, was a very good shot on how to hit the woodwork.
It could be a chance for Pod, but it's blocked away. And Okra does have options, but hasn't found any. There's a double touch opportunity now, just off the woodwork. And it's a free clearance for Pod. It's also a lovely bounce to set himself up for future.
Spirit levels off. The little bubble in the gauge tilted slightly to the left here. Will the readjustment be spot on this time? It glances wide from an Envy ball. Now it's the P's turn. Popped it goes. Orca gets a clear Envy. Soft touch. The flip resets there if he wants it, but it's too low. That's the problem when you want to limbo all the time. You've got to shake it up.
Envy's now going to just hope that ball goes straight onto his plate. And Pierce is going to eat up that opportunity to clear that ball away, as that's another shot towards net as the attack still pushes forward. Pod now. The high 50-50 stuffed away by Pierce.
Infield pass cut out by Envy, the only goal scorer in this game for the RAF Typhoons. Straight down to once again from the demo, trying to get a wave dash off it, and it's glancing a bit too. Unfortunately, the old itch, you can hear the back cracking while they try to get round that ball. Does not happen, shall not. But OT, the find out who'll grab game 2.
And just as we said in that first series, Danny, this is a massively important game for the Falcons. If they want to just boost that confidence stepping up towards that semi-finals, they got to do it right here, as Pierce relieves the pressure and has support from Envy on the flank. That one's just a little wide from that sidewall double, as it's just individual chances, I feel, that are giving Typhoon so much threat.
Excluding the group qualifiers last season, other than the day 2 side of the bracket, the Falcons have never beaten the RAF Storm Shadows. They are now the Typhoons in competition in the Pro League before. Grab the second goal here. Go 2-0 up in the series, and suddenly you've got to ask yourself, is history going to be made?
Oh, it's a whisker away from Envy, as that ball's pressed downfield straight towards that corner. 100 boost found for the defense, and it's a comfortable Little dunk off of that ball, but it's a big double commit, and Pod might get away with a flip reset double. Couldn't quite clamber onto the ball in time. As another shot comes firing loose towards that blue net. Okra are all alone, and Envy so quick to get involved.
Pod straight to a teammate. And it will be a 1-2-1, ideally. Envy, low boost, but clear nonetheless achieved here. A game of nutrition has essentially got on here. Low boost on the majority, but it is the Falcons who did collect them over about 200 in their last two there, so they can withstand a few bit of pressure. They have soaked it up well here. Orchid, one touch, back it goes. Should be an infield pass. A double perhaps off the woodwork. Not once, not twice, but 3 times there.
Some massive, massive blocks from Envy in the context of the series for the Typhoons, but they're going to have to continue to weather the storm. Goodness knows where it might drift on by next, as Envy, again, to just play the ball to himself, keep possession firmly in that safety net of the corner.
Safety net? What safety net?
I'll tell you who
Here, because frankly, what is going on here in the form of the RAF's
That's a
lineup?
very good question, but I do believe we're having some technical difficulties with the stream. I do apologise for those who briefly could not see the coverage, but that is, well, a Falcons gateway to a 2-0 in the series, but still plenty more left to come, Danny.
Well, certainly so, and you know, I think that we'll be looking to see at least a bit more coming back, and hopefully the gameplay as well too. But 2-0, and that is the situation the Falcons have got themselves in. And I don't know, I don't want to say the Typhoons have played badly, but they've not played to the the former champions of any of the qualifiers, not to the level that we've seen it before.
Yeah, it's a huge step up in performance, isn't it, from the Falcons? And I know how hard they've worked since BFBS Pro League Season 2, or Season 1 had finished, rather, in the lead up to Season 2. It was remarkably quick, their rate of development, as the Falcons really having a bit of fun now. I don't think we'll be seeing a Doomsy Psycho double redirect anytime soon.
And I'm pretty sure they may, however, want to do it to the side that had dished it out to them. How cruel, how lovely. Dog game about perspectives, mind you, but they need to get their head on the dog game about perspectives, mind you, but they need to get their head onto this one.
And potentially the wonderful heat wave in the UK may be giving a bit of punishment towards the production today, so I do apologise. And thank you everyone in the chat who's here to spread their support and their love for the teams on display. BAE's Falcons just moments away, potentially, from seeing their way through to the inaugural semi-finals, the BFBS Pro League Season 2 playoffs. As Envy's going to step up, try and rip one infield towards Pierce, but just a little bit wide.
Well, just with a touch here, and perhaps maybe a bit of trickery could be required here. Back it goes. Envy pops it high up to the back wall here. Double gets taken away here. Second phase of play through P.
And as we move on, this timer is ticking down a little bit, and Typhoons are finally at a point where they found just a little bit of breathing room and comfortability. It's been remarkably challenging for them so far, as they have that last man. A lot to do. Pod is just going to fly wide of the mark this time. There's plenty of boost on this right side of the field, but 2 swarming Falcons attackers going for demos left, right and centre to alleviate the pressure.
What pressure? What pressure? And that nearly might have been a moment of either a fluke or genius. They won't care if it went in, mind you. It goes to the right-hand side of the wall for the Falcons here. Pods around. Should be a touch into it. And P just sets himself up. It is going to go slightly too wide. Envy pulled this car right and left, so it won't be a real shot on target. It's a setup play. P with the shot, and it's rattled the woodwork.
And Okra in hot pursuit. Can he get the beat? Not quite. as the ball now just floats down off the crossbar. Pod is going to have to give chase all the way back the other end after that massive pinch. And it's just going to be hit and hope. Try and wait for those mistakes, those cracks, which we know the Typhoon learning as Pod now beats his important battle. Now giving chase in the corner. A ball floats into the middle. Pod up quickly. Stuffed away.
Well, Pod and Pete straight down the line. Not too much threat coming this time around. It will be Cedric with a vital block. Envy with the mistake, and it's Cedric to clear a lines. One touch to the back wall. Envy right hand side clear, trying to buy a bit of space, and that's a clean touch away.
Potentially for the Typhoons to escape. There's no boost at the backboard, but it's going to be enough to see a ball clearance. It's a sloppy touch though, and it's gone straight back towards the blue players in possession. Nice little chip up high, and Pierce there to fill the floodgates. That's a great pass over and saved the way it is by Cedric, as Envy now on the counter.
To deny a bit of history was that save. Pod drops back in. Envy over the P, and there is only one player back. It is Cedric. It's a decent touch away, and 10 odd seconds should be here or there's around here. Pod drops it, and it looks like the area Typhoons, perhaps, and just maybe with enough time and pressure, dealt with it and holds on to the series.
It's 2-1 in the grand scheme of things, but it's not going to feel like it for the Typhoons, as my goodness, they kept that close, did the Falcons. And just when Typhoons thought they had control of the game, we saw a fight back from the Falcons. And I think it was just one little mistake from the aptly named Doomsy Psycho double redirects, where he just didn't trust himself to get up in the ball, waterfall down in front of net, and all we needed was a quick takeoff, and that would have been it, Danny. It would have been 1-1.
Certainly so, and how ready will you be? When you have a name like that, you've got to quite literally, be quite literally into the moment here. But the Typhoons, they're normally not a side that have been slow starters. So usually out of the blocks, dominate the game. And it's usually the midpoint is, you see the classiness come through, the ability to get the game done and dusted. It's not the same story this evening.
Not at all. There is still hope for the Typhoons. And as they whiz on by, their name is certainly not going to be forgotten, even if they are bested in this particular series. But they want to go the distance. They want to rack up those points to qualify in for that finals with comfortability, Danny. And of course, these matches are so important just for the sake of your seeding going forward. It can have such a knock-on effect.
I think right now, the two sides aren't really too worried about seeding. Not saying it's not important, but this is a grudge match. This is, a year's worth of pain built up here in the Pro League form of the Falcons. They need a victory here to at least get the score somewhat more respectable over a year's worth.
And it's a big miss. Surely it's wide open, but Okra's gone and slammed it straight into that last defender and made it oh so easy for them to push that ball to the corner, as Pod's going to take up really quickly here. Hart in support to whack it in front of the goal line. P to drop it down now towards the corner, and it's a lot of time and space for the blue side to work with now. Look at the control on that ball, but very well read by Cedric.
And just what could be here something. It is P into the box here. Orca right across. Gibbs drops back, so Wormsley with a touch. And Envy just sends that one down. The double doesn't look on. And Cedric trusted enough to make it. Rattles the woodwork. How many lives do you want to go through?
Well, they don't want to give up. This Falcon side, they're still pushing hard to get that first goal, and they know how important it is. And I think it must be said, in terms of the top teams out there, it is quite easy for this Typhoons roster to get a little bit rattled. in terms of the mental department, even with the likes of Stelios, I'm sure, cheering them on in the background, doing oh so much work for them there, as that ball could be a free net for Envy. It's a massive dunk in front of two flailing defenders, and he's done it all by himself.
Does he get a star?
He gets more than a star, Danny. You might get a game out of that.
Just have to cast your mind back 5 minutes ago. A single goal was enough. But how do you protect a 1-0 lead?
It's tense on the field. And it's nervy, and that's another miss coming through from the defence. But Envy keeps finding himself in those downfield positions just to play a bit of disruption. And as much as he is fantastic at the back, and relieving that pressure, making sure those solo plays don't come through, you want him downfield. That is his sort of playground, Danny.
Well, when you deny a player that ability and not give him the service on to it, it's a question of how do you adapt. And for the third time in the series, it's Gids who grabs a goal here for the Falcons. I'm shocked here.
It's wide open, isn't it? There was no resistance, seemingly, and they just had a numbers advantage in the attack. They kept pressing that rotation, and it was Envy who made a big blunder there, just caught himself a little too far forward towards that front post. Had to turn massively to try and remedy that mistake, but just couldn't make it happen.
Are we potentially going to see a previous qualifying champion from last season get knocked out early in the competition here? It would be an upset, but again, previous finalists are not to be sneezed at or scowled at. But that's a double commit once again here by the Falcons. It was costly last time around.
Envy's going to have a chance here. He's put it infield towards his teammate, and it's blocked away by Pod. Brilliantly intercepted. Now there's a chance for Pod to just catch Envy unawares. It's an awkward situation for this orange defence, as Okra's going to slam it to the backboard. And there isn't a touch found by Pierce. A little bit awkward here.
Pod, not too much difficulty for Envy here. He wants to make the opposition squirm in this position. As Cedric gets a touch. Now it's a shade of deep red here on the Typhoons. They know they were holding their breaths for too long. Oh, this could be well. Gorgeous bit of play here by the Falcons. Made the Typhoons look a tad bit foolish.
You know, it's calamity where Danny has no idea which direction he's going in the booth, and that one stunned us both. Okra now for a double touch chance, and it's going to be free. It's going to be wide open for Pod. And somehow, it's the orange team that's unravelled themselves at the back.
Take it in. Last time the British Army's Falcons was in a final was a year ago to the day. They've yet to beaten this RAF side in over that time and space. They're now about 20 seconds away for a bit of history. Denied by Pierce.
Just when you needed it most to keep those dreams living on, Pierce is there for a huge rebuttal. That last defender on the wall couldn't get their mitts on that one, and we do have a serious game on our hands.
If there's any more seriousness to get, we may need to call a paramedic, whether for the players or for us, or maybe even the likes of the management of both sides. This is a massive game, crucial, pivotal, and only 10 odd seconds of regulation still left. One last chance, surely, Pod, to keep it up. He has done so, and Cedric just tips it to the corner. Is that the safety net? It is now.
All eyes on the kickoff then. Who is to step up to the plate? Pod and Cedric. That ball loose and high, and Pierce is going to get a touch. It's a little bit awkward. Cedric has it to really kill time off the clock here in the corner and make sure not to lose possession as that falls above the backboard and awkward. Pod has a chance. to feed it in field, and does so. Finds Okra on that left-hand flank as he gets his chance.
Envy to the corner. No double touch or skim. As will be into the safe area of the right-hand side from the Typhoon's point of view of their opposition corner. Pot gone, removed, and Envy licking his lips surely into the box it goes. Somebody needs to be there, and it rattles its way back and through. They were 2-0 down. They have now brought us into a decider.
Sidewall skim, bump on the back lines, and a little bit of cherry picking on the far side post. And Envy, the man of the hour, has booked his team through to a potential situation where we see a reverse sweep.
And to see it quite literally in this situation, you would be shocked in any shape or way, Psycho. A game like this here deserves sort of like a best of 7 sort of type scenario, but we won't have that privilege. But the pressure, the moment, the history, will it be once again an RAF sweet, delicate chant of "we did it again," or will it be once the British Falcons has turned to sing proudly?
Oh, and there is a particular person in chat who's going to be licking their lips. We released some prediction brackets not long before this broadcast went live, and one of the predictions said the Typhoons are going to be reverse sweeping in this exact matchup. And that was quite the audacious call, and I bet they're smiling away at the moment.
Certainly. And it will be one of those ones where many predictions have been somewhat scrambled at this point. But this, however, will decide the men from the boys, as the old expression is, as that one pushed to the side, but barely at that. It's a game of fine margins now.
And Okra is trying to get all of the time and space he can downfield. Pod's going to almost waste that one. Very hurried approach towards the net, as we can see the blue players just trying to establish as much presence in this orange half as they can. They're throwing themselves at every opportunity, and they've got no boost to answer for it.
And kids, likewise, 0 boost, and the tank still meets it. Appears to drop it, but it will be a halfway connection by both sides, and neither has got control of the game until now. Cedric in his own final third. Pass one gone by Pod. Oh, that's good. It could be an opportunity. Pierce denies it, mind you, from developing any further.
Envy now with an important duel. Loses out to Okra as that ball's going to get sifted mid, but Pierce times this challenge well and simply plays it low to himself. Keeps control of the play in what has been a calamitous best of 5 series so far. That's 2 Typhoons players drawn out though, and a little bit of danger towards that far post.
Pod still lurking. Demo tipped up by Envy. Pod leaves it. Gids with the shot, and it's the oldest man arguably on the pitch with the most vital of all save. How calm is he? Very at that too. It's Pearson, don't forget the 2-time champion.
It could be another opportunity though. Falcons breathing down the necks as that one's just in front of the goal line. And Cedric counts his lucky stars as he scrambles back in front of the goal mouth to just push that ball away. But how long can the Typhoons survive an onslaught? It must be said, as that one's off the post. And there is just no players to answer in response. As Pierce now, finally, with some fresh air.
For how much? You talked about it. They've been absorbing the pressure. And Cedric's done his job. Envy's got to do his, and he hasn't done it very well. And he'll admit that himself here. Steals the boost, goes for the demo for a G-Wood-esque demo of the RAF community. Doesn't pay off, mind you, as Cedric down the flank here. Pops it up. It should be, has been tipped to the side.
And as the Kestrels are knocked out of the competition, they're going to be dearly looking on towards the Falcons and thinking, we need them to progress through. They are our hopes. As that ball's sifted infield, Pod cannot find contact there. It's now Envy to do all the heavy lifting in that back corner, just to try and disrupt. Make sure that they've got all of the space on the turf. As it's a massive bump and a save and what? What's happened?
Somebody decided to play Jenga and pulled the wrong block at the foundation.
Oh, no.
Or you had a young toddler decide to swing in with a left side boot and decided, I'm not playing anymore. Envy tips it in home. Well, who would have thought that may be the deciding one?
Falcons were in this position before, just moments ago. They're going to have a chance for a second. No contact found, though. And even when they were 1 goal ahead, with about 40 seconds left to play, last time of asking, they faltered. And it was at the hands of that man, Envy. With a little bit of magic. Pierce now sifts the ball to the right-hand side. And that ball just off the backboard. Envy to follow through with another extra touch. And he's done so well.
That looks wide. And Envy cannot get it. Saswit's size will probably be in the con. They know that probably had to go. Infield passes surely, and Envy decides to go solo. Selfish perhaps on the 2 times inter-service champions. The qualifier 3 and 5 of last season are 2-0 down in game 5 against a side that they have beaten twice previously before. A year denied. Could it be? Shall it be? History written.
Broken hearts. And maybe broken minds now. RAF Typhoons, what do you have left? One last chance. And it's Envy to step up. That one is going to go high. It's lifted above the orange defence. And Falcons playing victory laps now as they just throw that ball nonchalantly in front of that back net. And the British Army Esports second team on paper, Danny, have bested the RAF's top offering in the Typhoons. What more can we ask for?
History making hasn't been done in the BFBS Pro League ever in the mid stage of the competition. They have came twice before. 3-1, 3-0, denied at every opportunity. When the Falcons, mind you, had the opportunity, a clean run, shall we say, they reached a grand final. They were only denied by Lion and Ritzy, who are in this season. Could it be fate here, Psycho? Could it be?
Maybe it's written in the stars, but there is so much work to be done because we already know their next opponents, Danny. And we were having a chat in the green room about what is next to come. SEA Dragons are who they've secured a match against. And I think, Danny, it's fair to say they are our favourites on paper to take the entire season by storm. They are not to be scoffed at. But if there is ever a time and a place, perhaps today is that day, Danny.
Well, perhaps so. And potentially, in the Buzzards, I should say, in the Storm Shadows, who are sitting within the remaining and only RAF side. The last time we had any form of inter-service or style matchups or across the 3 services, it was the British Army that was gone. Wasn't even in day 2. The RAF here could be eliminated outright or top 4 level, and you would have thought here going in today here, at least one potentially in the grand final. How odd this competition has been so far.
There is plenty of it still left to come as, well, unfortunately, there is only 2 series left for today, Danny, but the semi-finals lies in wake. So we'll see you there after this short break.
we're still a lot, yeah. Breakthrough, what I wanna make do. Take two when I'm thinking of you. Sway loose when I'm sinking a booze. Two-way thinking of blue places that I'm gonna take you like. Breakthrough, what I wanna make do. Take two when I'm thinking of you. Sway loose when I'm sinking a booze. Two-way thinking of blue places that I'm gonna take you like. Corona and sick, too lit, tryna flow like frizz. I'm licked off in a rave, smoking. Last one in a place, she baked, she rolling hips. That man, I wanna flow like this. Gally wanna roll and twist. More time and I'm lean up, rolling lit. More time and I'm lean up, rolling. Late night is future, I'm tryna make mine. Dreaming up in the daytime, nice one in the downsides on the waistline. I want it now, I don't wanna take time. More debts, yeah, I gotta pay mine. Big than a 10-date night. Loud pack got me tryna take flight with you, I'm feeling just right. Breakthrough, what I wanna make do. Take two when I'm thinking of you. Sway loose when I'm sinking a booze. Two-way thinking of blue places that I'm gonna take you like. Breakthrough, what I wanna make do. Take two when I'm thinking of you. Sway loose when I'm sinking a booze. Two-way thinking of blue places that I'm gonna take you like. Breakthrough, what I wanna make do. Take two when I'm thinking of you. Breakthrough, what I wanna make do like. Breakthrough, what I wanna make do. Take two when I'm thinking of you.
Take two when I'm thinking of you.
Yeah, bad vibes. Do one. Gally wanna give me brain on a futon. Give me two, bro, got one too strong. Watch the way that I smooth on. In a rave beat, tryna get a move on. New day, new song. Rich life, tryna get a new one. Gally wanna ooze on. In a bathroom with my shoes on. Like, which way you wanna go? Choose one. All day, everyone I prove wrong. Two gone in a studio, up a new one. Like, man, I got that 2-ton rude one. Arabic lane one from Luton. Man, I bet a 16 with a loop. Long eyes so crumbling like a crouton. Tryna step in a place, 95 and the boots on. Too special, she don't wanna move on. Man, I give her the show like Truman. 2-ton, rude one. Arabic lane one from Luton. Man, I bet a 16 with a loop on. 95 and the boot on. It's that breakthrough, what I wanna make do. Take two when I'm thinking of you. Sway loose when I'm sinking a booze. Two-way thinking of blue places that I'm gonna take you like. Breakthrough, what I wanna make do. Take two when I'm thinking of you. Sway loose when I'm sinking a booze. Two-way thinking of blue places that I'm gonna take you like.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the semi-finals now of the BFBS Pro League first playoffs of Season 2, Danny. And just looking at the teams we've got in front of us, I think one of them definitely predictable in the British Army Esports Buzzards. They took no prisoners up there in the upper bracket. They breezed through the Falcons in upper round 1, 3-0. Of course, we just saw the Falcons stretch past Typhoons in what was a really, really tasty Game 5. But now it's a bit of a change, dare I say, in the RAF Storm Shadows finding themselves in the top 4.
It's an evening where you sort of looked at the RAF rosters and you thought maybe it was an odd evening because what are we going to expect here? And if you sat here and said to me between the Typhoons and the Storm Shadows who would reach further, I wouldn't have the Storm Shadows making a top 4 finish this evening. How wrong I was, and based on performance and expectations, they actually play quite strong against the SEA Dragons. We didn't see on stream, but Ritzy, who is broadcasting it from a player's point of view, it was a different story than what I would have imagined.
Absolutely so. And of course, Storm Shadows, the legacy name that carries so much weight, Danny, was the de facto RAF roster. But these days, you could look at them on paper and some would argue they're second best, maybe even third best in the eyes of some within the RAF rankings. But one thing's for sure, they have proved us wrong. We look towards even the community qualifier, which they got through to qualify for this very event, Danny. Sweeps all across the board. Then we moved into the Swiss Stage 1, and honestly, they took no prisoners there either. They beat the SEA Dragons, of which they're facing today, albeit with a slightly different roster.
Well, it's sort of that situation where, sides now are getting used to having a 4-man roster, interchanging, swapping around here. You have to look at probably the RAF Shadows roster back when it was the likes of Logan, Aisha, Steve, the Deal, Kirk, and Romus. It was nearly a 5-man roster before it became what we have seen develop since then. But Psycho, there's been plenty of talk about will the likes of G would be playing, will it be action ready, will we see this player in the form of blue actually take the pitch? We've had lots of questions. Will we have any answers?
Well, we've got quite a big answer in front of you, and that is yes, there is Bluey on the pitch. Yes, there is G-Wood and his fellow compatriots in G-Wood, Reedy, and Sames for the Storm Shadows, and that is a legacy roster if ever I've seen one, with a very, impressive signing. Reedy, we saw him in the Inter-Services qualifier sort of spring to life as that new player to watch for the RAF. Just quite how far can he go?
Well, you need to even go back slightly further than that, sort of 6 months ago when he had the roster meeting in the RAF in terms of what he produced. So, the players, should be good here in terms of what they are capable of. They've been difference maker for, at the time, what was the Tempest. But the British Army, the first and second 2 sides, they have been question marks last season. When will they step up? Will it be this massive sort of upheaval in performance? We have answered that already. It's just a question on how good are they?
Time will tell, but they've certainly beaten expectations today as G-Wood sifts the ball laterally across. And I really like what I'm seeing so far, just in terms of the way both teams are approaching this. So much width in the play. It's not really tight, nitty-gritty follow-ups. It's not a lot of chasing going on. It's trying to work amongst each other here.
Well, I would much prefer a bit nitty and gritty. Unfortunately, there's no snarls. There will be, however, a dent in the woodwork. Nicely toys put right in, and G-Wood, if he didn't backflip, I would suggest that he still was not going to get to that ball. We do have the opening in the semi-final. Will it continue?
Yeah, I think all eyes there were on Onza, and it's just as he dipped away from that chance that Wuk was able to punish the player with a bit of a question mark on his head. We've seen what he was capable of in the Swiss stage, and I think needs no introduction now as Onza going to try and feed the ball underneath the defenders. It's a nice punch away from G-Wood, and Louis with as good of a first touch as you could probably hope for in that situation.
Well, knowing him as well, he would be somewhat asking for that extra 1 or 2% better. But he is always sort of that sort of tinkerer when it comes to the mechanical side. He's produced some quite famous shots in his day that, you know, beating the likes of Flipside, Tactics, you know, G2, NRG. You can list and rattle quite a few all over the years as well. But what he is doing right now is, you know what, I'll sit here and say this. Normally when we see professionals or ex, whatever way you want to write it up as, you know, they normally dominate the series. They're normally the player that, you know, the play goes right through. Bluey has done the quite opposite. He's essentially fitted as a true three-man roster.
Yeah, and he's playing the sort of quiet role, isn't he, at the moment, as he wins the 50, legs it on downfields and says bye-bye to Samed, waves away the troubles of the Buzzards early on in game one.
Very much as what you would expect from the Buzzards' point of view. The game plan playing to perfection. Really, mind you, back over the Salmons. Now they've got a few shots on target. The number one side of the RAF under pressure here.
To dive on down, but Reedy's met that 50-50 pretty much perfectly as Onza's going to smartly try and take it up high, but no contact on that second touch as Wack now with lots of boost in the tank, but no business missing that ball. Now we see a little bit of patience coming on the orange side, and it is going to bite them. Onza still keeping the pressure on.
Little boost, so I mean their opportunities as well limited. That's once again poised right and forth. Bluey denied of a goal scoring opportunity. Backwards ball. And Onza's made a meal of this one, and it may still work out. G-Wood awkward hit. Well, you would have thought that was 3. Flash and gone. Was that chance? 1 minute 20 still on the clock here. Samus on the other side. Denied by Bluey.
Maybe if he had that shot again, he would tuck it in the corner. Reedy is going to do precisely that. And it's Bluey lifting it away to the sides and by that front post, turned the wrong way. There was no contact to be found.
Bit of a slow start by the RAF standards. But it's Bluey to keep on the pressure. That was played far too well.
Oh, he has this little aura about him, doesn't he? Where if you see him coming towards you in a 1v1, you count your lucky stars. It's a bit of a coin toss, isn't it?
Joe, I normally hate the word aura, but it truly does describe a player like Bluey. What he has produced over the years and what he's produced just there is just a kind reminder to the RAF is not to give him a moment. Do not respect him in any shape or way because you just cannot afford to.
Bluey now for a sidewall attempt. He's going to let this one go. Onza and Watt getting a little bit too big for their boots, perhaps, as Reedy has so much space to play with and is going to find a teammate in G-Wood downfield who opts to shy away from that one. Ball now sort of looming in front of this orange half, just begging to be smacked downfield, and finally there is the hoof.
No opportunity yet shown here for the RAF Storm Shadows to get out here. A big hoof would be ideal, but they're trying to play a possessional-based game, and so far they've been outplayed on that department too. It looks like game one will go in the column on the blue side. The British Army, once again, it seems to be on the stream right now, grabs the opening game.
Essentially, this is the rise of a new candidate for the best that Tri-Service Rocket League has to offer. The British Army Esports Buzzards, we've seen their journey through the Swiss stage. We've seen just how dominant that game one was here. Just look at the shooting department as well. 11 shots registered and pure pressure from start to finish, I think, Danny. Very little in the way of opportunities for the Storm Shadows, who maybe had a couple at best.
Well, it's sort of that situation where, they conceded early and never recovered the RAF Storm Shadows, and you can't afford to do that, not in a semi-final. So really going into game 2, it's not necessarily score, but it's don't park the bus, essentially. No opportunity, no options has failed in terms of getting the ball out here. That has to be the game plan going forward for them, and nearly they've grabbed a goal from doing exactly that.
Sam has scored an extremely memorable little Doomsy dish last time we broadcasted him in the Swiss stage. He sort of double touched it, clipped it to the wall, and then fed it through. And that time he almost delivered another really special little play. And Sames, I do have to give credit to him. He has come leaps and bounds since even this time last year, really. And I think it was that performance in the BFBS Pro League finals last year where we looked at him and thought that was a real difference maker. And I think he's establishing himself as a player for anyone to be worried about.
I came onto the scene just shy about 2 years at that point, played in, of course, the lower respective RAF teams. And suddenly, as you rightly pointed out, now becoming arguably one of the top 3, top 4, top 5 players within their community, and has developed into a solid performer. So a 7 out of 10 guaranteed, no matter what coming onto the pitch here. But they need the star man, and that was really who you've just witnessed launching that ball down clear. And we've seemed to return to the big old hoof that you were hoping to see in game 1.
And I hope G-Wood can stretch for this one. Bluey now for a ripper on down, and it's saved away by Sam towards that left side, and it looks comfortable for him. It looks as if it was just another walk in the park as Ons are infield now towards Bluey. That one above the crossbar. Where is the follow-up? There it is from Wuck. And it's 1-0 to the Buzzards, and a mighty blow to the confidence of the Storm Shadows.
And I take solace in the fact that they didn't concede for over 2 minutes compared to about 7 odd seconds compared to the 2 games that we've seen so far in the semi-final. But, and this is a big but, it's now can you grab a goal here? Can't afford to go keep on playing defensive Rocket League for 2-3 minutes here. It's a big downfield ball, onto it with a massive demo. So already the answer seems to be not yet.
Not yet, maybe, but it is reassuring to know that the Buzzards bleed. If we look back to Community Qualifier 1, well, they weren't present. Invited through to the Swiss stage where they faced the Royal Navy Krakens and did actually drop a game. They're certainly not infallible, but it does take a great deal of effort and punch to see your way through them. 2-0 on the docket now, and Bluey just making it look so easy for his teammates.
It's getting to a point when you just, tip your hat to when you know you are getting outplayed. It's one of those sort of type of performance here, and it's subtlety being outplayed. It's not, heavy on the eye with heavy score lines. We saw last season in the Pro League and the early stages, score lines of 11-0, 12-0, and you're sort of going, well, how did that happen? You expected that in the opening rounds, but in a semi-final, they're being picked apart here surgically.
Great bump from Onza to remove the support for Reedy, who decided to go central. He thought that's the best way to free up the pressure, but it's actually the way to keep feeding the hunger of the Buzzards. Wuck now with a third.
Now it's the question of can you grab a goal? That's what the RAF will be hoping for straight on down. And you know when it's bad, when all that you can do is just chuckle.
Well, Danny, you said all they need now is a goal, and it just materialised, but you didn't mention the team.
Well, I thought it was obvious. Clearly it wasn't.
Buzzards, you are making life difficult for your opposition today. And I think the SEA Dragons, as much as they've got quite the challenging matchup themselves on the other end of the semi-finals, they might already be thinking about the finals to come. It's going to be difficult, of course, to pass the Falcons, who put up such a display earlier, such a shock victory against the top team for the RAF. But already the Buzzards seem to have their eyes set on what's next.
Well, you hit the break it to you. But I'll have a brief eye on the other semi-final. 1-0 in favour to the likes of Lion and Ritzy, who will be looking to go further. And I'll tell you this here quite now, the other British Army squad has just tied the match up as well with another brilliant goal. So that might not be the SEA Dragons in the final here, Seko, because it's a real tussle between the two. The RAF Storm Shadows here right now on the main channel. You gotta be looking at it and saying, where are they?
Where are they? There's a wake-up call in the RAF camps at the moment. I think they've had some sort of a realisation that it's not just one British Army roster they've got to worry about, but potentially 3 at this point to weave their way through to that top 8 at the end of the season. And we look on paper at just how much these rosters have changed. And the fact we're even in a universe where the Army are here to deliver this much of a performance is a beautiful thing to see.
Remember, just, well, in Pro League 1, we sat there and, started with less than about 20 teams, give or take, slowly building and building up to here and now for Season 2. And, the semi-finals that, then, I'm not saying they lack quality, but there was moments of brilliance. We are seeing consistently just, a side here that just wants it, the hungriness of, we've sat here and been beaten and destroyed, and how do we lick our wounds to get better? Well, here's the evidence of, you arguably learn your biggest lessons through losses.
I didn't think I'd see a situation where we've almost got 2 1,000-point games for the Buzzards. And it's not as if the Storm Shadows have been making it easy for them. It's a product of working together. And the Buzzards just seem to have that natural sort of they click. They click together as a roster, and they've barely been together for the best part of a couple of months. And that one there is football heritage.
You cheeky, cheeky boy. You knew exactly what you were doing.
7-1. Oh, come on, guys. Come on, guys. It doesn't have to be that harsh, does it? It could be 8. Bluey's going to take it out wide. He wants to rub it in. He's having fun with the showmanship. A Brazil for the Buzzards in the semi-finals against RAF's remaining roster in the competition. Bluey almost a 1,000-point game to his name, and Wuck close behind.
Well, if he scored, he would have had 1,000 points. Just saying.
Well, he could have hit the ball 4 more times, and that would have done it as well. Oh,
well, that's
come on,
true.
mate.
We
You
could
do
have
better.
hit the ball hard to the back wall and got an extra 30. Well, I'll show you this here. Briefly chatting to the players. And when chatting to the likes of Bluey, he sat there and, a previous was answering him and back, who do you want in the final? Wasn't the Buzzards, wasn't SEA Lions, he said the Typhoons from the RAF. They got knocked out. So I wonder, is he upset the fact that he hasn't got his choice here?
I feel like at that point, it's disappointment, isn't it? But he is going to have his rematch, or his match, up against the Typhoons. It's got to happen at some point. Just not this week to be, as G-Wood has it all to do at the back. He's just trying to bait this attack forward, and I'm not sure that's the sort of play style you want to be playing with when the Buzzards have quite this much control.
At what point do you just throw the kitchen sink at and try anything? And, at the time, this lineup, the Tempest, without really, they were, a sort of a top 4 side, give or take. It was the quarterfinals, it was always their hiccup. And, they've got, reinforcements essentially. Now the #1 side, yet to grab a difference maker of a legitimate goal. But that's no disrespect in over about 5 minutes.
This Buzzards team did 2-0 the Typhoons in the Swiss stage, but that was with the Typhoons not quite being at full strength. I'm not sure it paints a picture of what's to come in future, but it is a start of the legacy for the Buzzards. They need to find a goal here. As Samez tries to squeeze it past those defenders. G Wood with a miss, and Reedy is going to wisely take it on back here.
Reedy. Nice sweep and play, and a pinch too. Needs to follow through, and G Wood at least connects to the ball here. So Sam is nice, wonderful. It's 50. It's in least the danger area to get something created in Bluey to skim it. You know, he just goes for a basic touch here, and you know, simplicity is an art form, and Bluey's played it well. But you know what? Ark has, you know, arguably done their jobs even better in that regard.
G Wood up for a pretty rash challenge, it has to be said, as the remaining hope of the defence, but did so well to win that outcome against one of the world's very best from back in his day. Samez playing the patient game and attack here. They don't want to overstretch. They're thinking about the future here. They want to make sure that they've got the numbers to keep that pressure going, keep that recycling rotation going. And Reedy looking for an option here.
It's a nice touch, but the RAF Stormshaw's got to be careful here, because Ons is the primary man for the demo play that has cost the RAF roster to falter structurally. And they're back in the defensive zone here. They're attacking for about a minute here, so back to familiar scenes here. And that should have been buried. Second time around, doesn't happen, and Jiwoo could only just tip that one forwards.
Some good playmaking from Bluey again, but no follow-up to be found as Onza now feeds it infield towards Wuck. Wuck is going to contest. The ball's going to bounce down midfield. Onza's up for the grabs, and he's going to try and pile drive that towards the top shelf. Bluey has found the net, and he was up so early for that. You almost blink and you miss it.
Top left shelf as well. Sometimes it's disgusting to be that good at a game, but you've got to appreciate beauty. And Samez just saw the net, saw the ball, and just sent himself towards it. Doesn't grab, mind you, the most important element of this game, and that's the goal.
Could be another one now for Buzzards, but a big pinch is going to say goodbye to that attack. Samez now only has Reedy in support infield, who's beaten by that infield pass. And the Swarm just keeps on delivering for the Buzzards. Bluey now for a cross-field opportunity. He's going to play the 50 on G Wood here. It's a brilliant effort from him.
Good it goes. Bluey likely to turn. Boosting spawn. And G Wood. This is the opportunity you want to take here when potentially low boost on the likes of Bluey, and the rotation hasn't quite settled, but they've done well. They've faked it over. Bluey across the net here. Dangerous play by any stretch of the means here, and G would bump Reedy straight down. Rightly, they go, but unfortunately it's not. Hey! I'm not going to say the rest of the lyrics, it's not suitable for broadcast, but I'll tell you this, the chanting, however, diminished straight off when that goal didn't go in.
And Storm Shadows with one final hope, and boy, have they stepped up in this final game. And I don't think they're going to be burying their heads in disappointment. I think they're going to be looking at this game and thinking, we really, really took it to them. But it's the British Army Esports Buzzards that were inevitable since the moment their roster formed, and they found their way through to the grand finals.
Well, they certainly do. And it's a question of whether will it be their British counterparts in the army, or will it be the SEA Dragons, and not the hint of it. But I think quite literally we may see a previous finalist get on to the broadcast. That's as far as I'm going to say, Psycho. I don't want to spoil it too soon.
Well, there we go. It's all to play for. One series remaining. One best of 5 to crown our inaugural champions of the first main event. Of course, 1 of 4 here in the BFBS Pro League. We are so early on into this season, and we cannot wait to share the rest of the action with you. The grand finals coming up after this short break.
Good enough can cost you the game, so stop settling. Wifinity is built for real-life on base, so you can game without compromise. Hosted somewhere new? Take your Wi-Fi with you, no hassle. Get fast, reliable Wi-Fi with Wifinity. Use code BFBS50 to get 50% off the first 3 months.
You join us here live for the grand finals of the very first BFBS main event of Season 2. My name is Psycho, and I am next to a legend of the scene, Danny Boy ATM. It's been one heck of a day so far, it has to be said, and many an upset, but we arrive at a conclusion that I think many might have predicted.
Well, I think if they were predicting the outright finalists, I would suggest, buy a lotto ticket. Some of them would have been a tad bit fortuitous in some regards here, because I don't think the number 2 seed outright should be here. I don't mean that in a disrespectful way, but the way the bracket came around here, they could have an upset suddenly here. Perhaps maybe the gauntlet run of the lower bracket may have tripped them up. Did not happen at all here. Do you know what here? As grand finalist comes here, I would sit here and say that we had our tournament favourite outright, and you did sort of allude to the dark horse sort of factor, and it has played out the way it has.
Absolutely, and there is going to be an introduction to the BFBS streams, full stop, a team that's not been on stream at all. The SEA Dragons, the Welsh esports team, really making waves. But Lion and Ritzy, 2 legacy players that do not need any introduction. But we're going to take a quick peek as to how they got themselves into this predicament, Danny. Seeded 1 outright in the Swiss stage. 3 2K plus MMR players to their roster. Lion, Ritzy, and the new coming Mr. Spud, 777. Absolute menace in 2v2. Actually dusted me in ranks just a couple of weeks ago. And that was the first time I encountered that very player. But they've made their way through with relative ease, it has to be said.
Well, certainly so, in terms of, quite literally in terms of, the 3-0 types of performance, quite ease in terms of, the sort of situation here. But the fact of the matter, really, both of the 2 sides in the grand finals came through the uppers. Decent Swiss stage here. Both of those sort of factors shouldn't shock anybody. It was a question on whether the likes of the Typhoons, whether they were going to do that deep run from lower round 1 to the semi-finalists and make that upset. This just didn't happen. But now the sort of the question comes around here, is the semi-finals from the LAN no more, but in the university world here in the form of the SEA Dragons of Ritzy and Lion, will they go one step further in a few months' time? That is, of course, to be wait and see. But you did talk about seeding playing a massive important. They want to stay as far as away from the Buzzards as the chasing pack here.
Absolutely, and in terms of their outright performance in the Swiss stage, they dominated there as well, albeit with 1 loss. And of course, they did have a substitute versus the Storm Shadows in the form of Kizza990, a good friend of mine, production legend in the Rocket League scene, acting as a substitute for them. But full strength rosters here to play for the finals today, Danny.
Well, certainly are, and it's going to be a mighty old question of who's actually going to step up here. You have a former professional player in the form of Bluey, and don't forget as well 2 very competent bubble scene players in their day, and still are, by the way, in the form of Ritzy and Lion. But it's a question in this best of 5. Will it be the case of who will win it? Who will grab the opening goal? Who will set the tempo? All these scratchers of questions. Well, no more will they be questions. We will find out who will become the champion of at least qualifier 1.
Well, here we go then. Kickoff underway. And I asked the players, are they ready? Are they steady? And Onza said, I'm not sure about steady. It's going to be a tense game, that's for sure, Danny. And I'm sure a lot of shaky fingertips at the controllers, at the helm of what is going to be a very important game 1.
Certainly so. And Ritzy straight to the back wall. Bluey attacks this one down. This will be a very dynamic game, very fluid as well. If it becomes slow, I will be disappointed. But the bowling alley suddenly has opened up.
And that is a huge collaboration between Onza and the man who teamed him up, Wuck. Just in front of that goal mouth, just sort of, well, adding a little bit of uncertainty.
Won't last for long. That keyword uncertainty. Don't think it'll be Seen too many goals like that. And openly, yes, a chance taken, well done. But Lion Ritzy, far too much experience here in the Pro League. They know what to do. And again, the two former teammates reunited again. Well, they had a nice 1-2 pass and play, but that question on what Spuds is going to do, you know, we haven't seen much of him. Granted, yes, haven't been on stream, and his chances got blocked away.
Yeah, he's certainly a mechanical player. Extremely quick getting from A to B. Think about C. Think about the back of the net. The SEA Dragons know what victory tastes like, and they're yet to smell a real defeat. And it's a great way to even up the scorecards.
So that'll be a nice smell of the old Aramix at this point here. But will there be an opportunity to take time to get their senses in order here? Lion gone, Spud there, and Bluey straight down the onto. We've yet to see that connection be really well worked, but it doesn't matter. Bluey, well, it's your show here.
Well, I mean, you could call that a routine touch for Ritzy, but did you see the power that Onza generated on that pass? As they transitioned all the way from their back net, all the way across in about probably 2 or 3 seconds tops. It's 2-0 now to the ever-growing and confident Buzzards.
2-0? Referee, was there a goal taken off of VAR?
Well, it could be 3. Or maybe 2-2. We'll have to find out, Danny.
Well, the great Jonathan Pearce would have had the famous line. It's nice to see Desmond Tutu, of course. If you, of course, remember, of course, 1990 football back on the BBC and Match of the Day. I hope you enjoyed that old classic relic. And speaking about one, there's him on the ball. Lion, Spud, nice 1-2, give and go up to the field here. It should be back into the box, mind you.
I'm sure you remember it like it was yesterday, old man. Lion is going to sit back and wait. And he's got 100 boosts to play with. Ruck isn't going to challenge this time around. They're just going to sort of shy off the play here, are the Buzzards, and try and absorb that pressure. They don't need to throw all their eggs in one basket. And they're certainly playing the sort of casual approach.
What's so casual about this?
Well, they're making it look that way, aren't they? Luck just sitting at the halfway line with a challenge, knowing he's supported. He's just going to dive his way into it. Bluey a little awkward, as Luck's going to miss out on that touch. It's a 1v1 situation now. Make that a 2v0. As Bluey very quick to scarper his way in front of the attacker. Get a demo out of nowhere.
The Royal Navy made up and represented this evening. Teams normally describe their missiles. Well, was that a Trident or an interballistal? At that point, it was explosive. And it was, mind you, well worked. But how many will be taken on deep here? Because goal number 4 could be coming into play here. But, you know, spare a thought here. The area Storm Shadows was, you know, playing against this roster no more than, what, 5-10 minutes ago, Psycho, when they were getting hammered the likes of a 7-0 scoreline.
It's a brilliant and tidy finish from Ritzy. I didn't really think that was a massive opportunity. It's so hard to generate power in those circumstances. And Onza thought he had it covered, but that little glance against the post was a little hard to read.
Know quite well the comms of Lion and Ritzy, been in them. And I'll tell you this, they will be ecstatic with that type of goal. And the meaning of it too. Infield pass, mind you, 2 gone. And the Sea Dragons themselves will be a bit awkward here. Downfield ball for Lion trying to poke and prod for a mistake here. They've unfortunately unwielded one themselves.
Ritzy was lucky to get back in time, and Lion needs support, but the ball has gone wide. And Bluey may be rushing himself a little more than he needed to. Has given away an opportunity. Ritzy now catches that reset. Makes that 50 a little bit more awkward, but Bluey's coming hunting again for a bump. Doesn't quite get there in time.
Sir Spud and Ritzy has to He touched the ball in blue there. And it's just again the same story. Lion gets involved, keeps it away. Remaining 30 seconds defensively. Back wall, Lion, and it's essentially an own goal.
What has happened there? It's 149 kph. And I don't think it had any business being in front of that blue net. Punished are the SEA Dragons, but they're going to be moving forwards, knowing they could have made something more of this game.
Still, mind you, working away at this here, and it may bounce kindly here. And the British Army does well, line with no boost, so it's a polite backing away here. I wonder is Kizza on the touchline, getting the bib maybe ready and taking off here from a quick warm-up. Mr. Spuds, Lion and Ritzy, they concede and essentially relinquish game number 1. A 4-2 scoreline in the opening of this grand final.
A shock, at least to myself, Danny. I looked at this series and I thought there is a favourite. It's not a clear one, but I had my money's worth on SEA Dragons. And that is quite the wake-up call. The British Army Esports roster may just be the finest this competition has to offer, Danny. I know it's early doors to make any bold predictions, but that was a really smart performance from the Army roster.
Well, the fact of it is, you know, the demo play originally that set the tone realistically from game 1. It was only 2-1 at that point, and, you know, even at 3-2, you thought there is a chance of a comeback, but it had to happen within about a minute left up the clock here. Never risen to the situation. Now you're the SEA Dragons. Don't concede early and just grab a goal. Those are the must now.
Bluey with a flip reset over the top, but no double to be found. And just look at the positioning of those blue defenders. It's awkward at the moment as Spud's going to go for an empty dive. Provide no meaningful presence into this back third. Ritzy now with one heft forwards. He's going to, well, Bluey's going to leave Onza to punch his way through here. Another opportunity, but Lion has done very well to escape. That shot needs to be on target and is, but Wuck there for a save.
I would have disagreed with you. Thought it should have went to the back wall for a double. But again, it was on target. It was a chance. How many are you going to get in the British Army, though? That's the difficulty that this Welsh orc will have to face, mind you. As Onza, well, he's just let his teammate move on to low boost on everybody on blue here. So Ritzy with a difficult decision, air dribble, forced into the 50, up to Onza, straight down from the ceiling, and Lion can only just punch that one forward.
What? Oh my goodness, and that one's off the crossbar from Bluey. Save from Mr. Spud. Whether or not it was on target or not, that post would have had the deciding factor. But SEA Dragons still clawing onto this defence. Ritzy with a mistouch, and Mr. Spud so far down the pitch scrambles to make that backflip save.
There he is. Liam just given possession too cheaply, in my opinion. Back it goes. Ritzy needs control. Got it with a soft touch. Flip reset. Far too early. Bluey smelt it, dealt it, and unfortunately Onza to seal this one for goal number 1.
Oh,
it's poised off the line, and the former land semi-finalist gets away with it.
Oh, that's a mighty save when they needed it most, but there's still blood in the water. Ritzy keeping them afloat. It's not a shipwreck just yet for the SEA Dragons. It's only a 1-game deficit. But Ruck does have a 1v1 here. Plenty of boost in the tank, and Lion's got barely anything. He needs help. He needs support as he waves the white flag and is out of that one quite quickly.
Lion touches. You can only go so long on fumes. And even then, they have evaporated away. Ritzy, soft touch, pass 1. Not, mind you, through the second one, fake that goes, and Bluey low boost. Lion tips it down. Ritzy, backwards pass here to Spud, who just launches that one downfield. That one should have been controlled. In a grand final, you cannot afford just to smack it.
And we're almost just waiting to see the punish come through, but well, it's a little bit lackadaisical. on the counter-attack, and SEA Dragons back downfield line with a glancing touch towards net. Another one redirected by Wuck downfield as Lion misses his touch in field, and the ball just 50'd favourably in field. Bluey now lifts it up high. Gets blocked away by his own ceiling there, and he probably wishes the pitch was just a little bit taller.
His own ceiling. Did he bring it home
He's
with
made
him?
it his own. He grew up with it, Danny. I think there's no beating around the bush here. Bluey, some of his historic goals through time certainly have been up top. And from the top ropes comes Wuck. Bluey, once again, reset court. No contact on the double touch and an easy save away. As that ball's dropped down and another big save. It's going to be a chance for Ritzy once again to just keep the pressure downfield.
It might be time for the biography of the legs of Bluey after the grand final. But it's his teammates who are currently writing the chapter of this grand final. Is it going to be a three-piece or a five-set thriller? Well, it's 1-0 in game 2, 41 seconds, and the Dragon has got no flame in its mouth.
I don't want to speak too soon, though. Ritzy has got the best out of that kickoff, and it's a dunk in favour of Lion. He needs it on target. He dearly wishes it was, but he's found the scraps and the missing pieces of that jigsaw puzzle. And it's one apiece, Danny.
Massive. Signals, at least, contenders in this grand final. That goal, it is going to at least give them an opportunity. Cannot squander it now. And it's a double commit, and Ritzy pulls that one through. Bluey with low boost, but Ritzy doesn't know that. Went for the 50, mind you. And again, the double commit from the Dragon roster. Can they at least get something on target? And they've thrown it into the corner here. It's over the line, surely.
That's going to tick on down. It looks awkward from Spud. Have you given it away? Have you let your opponent just dig their hands in the cookie jar and reap the rewards? Almost.
You can almost hear the sigh of relief across the breath of England on that one. As Mr. Spud on his back wall, no chances taking this one. Oh, this is gorgeous. That's delicious. Oh, from Spud to Lion. And unfortunately, the British Army tried the offside trap. Unfortunately, the linesman kept it down. And he decided to go home 2-1.
You said they were a dragon with no flame left. We were unfamiliar of what was possible there, as they have dug a 2-1 scoreline out of a game which they were predominantly at the back and just left to their own devices, low boost in the tank, trying to fight to escape. And it was those dying moments of the game where they came up with that creativity, that ingenuity to get those plays rolling. And honestly, they made it look comfortable towards the end, especially in that OT. They had a lot more sort of presence about them, Danny.
I wouldn't go as far as that personally myself, but just enough to get that ball over the line. That's all what they need to care about. I'll tell you this here as well. You can see it on your screens. Both sides haven't readied up. Normally you would see one after a win like that straight into it. Both sides are taking their time here. And, you know, you use the word presence. It's almost like a weight on the shoulder somewhat, this type of matchup in this final, because you know that it's not just, 1-1 in the series. It's that sense of, can I not make the mistake here?
And I think that's the worst kind of mindset to put yourself in, isn't it? Where you load up into a match and you're just praying that you don't make that crucial mistake. And SEA Dragons, as much as they were close to giving away more than just that one goal in the last game, they gave themselves hope on the other end. They're going to be going into this remainder of the series with some newfound optimism And of course, the British Army Esports Buzzard, they would love to take this game too, but I don't think it's going to be as easy as they may have thought at the start of this series.
Well, certainly so, and what I'm trying to roughly work out here, if there was anybody missing, but I think we have everybody in the lobby. It's quite literally here, the players are just needing a quick reminder, or maybe perhaps they're taking that moment to take the sting out of the game here, which is unusual for, you know, this type of level. But that extra few seconds, you know, you'll still have the adrenaline kicking, you'll still be warm, but it's that sort of vision. Can you see yourself making that goal, making that play happen? I think a few of these players on the pitch here is hoping to get the ball and to have that chance and opportunity. You cannot shy away from it.
How many times have we seen Bluey reach forward after his attacking first man to just lunge for that bump and just get the ball rolling outside of his own individual plays on the ball, as Mr. Spud and Lion are going to collaborate on this one. Some would probably call that a double commit, but they're thinking sustained pressure is the answer to keep this series in their favour. Lion now to push the ball to the left.
He's misjumped and queued on that one. Rattled around here, Ritzy, no options, so it's force 50, straight down line with a quick shot, has to be Mr. Spud, up and around, low boost, and he's fired up to the right-hand side, so he's forced at least the defence to make a decision. They've elected to go with Bluey, and he is now taken out of the play.
Needs to be a good, strong 50-50 here to feed back to Wanza, and it was, and the British Army Esports team look as if they're going to have relatively easy time escaping. There is Onza infield. Mr. Spud left all alone to deal with the threat. No contact found by Onza.
Are we going to see about escapology or the oldest trick in the book? The cups and balls, three of them running around here. Is it under cup 1, 2 or 3 is Lion? Well, he's first. It's not under there. Bluey has to say the pickpocket that one. Infield pass. Oh, this could be dangerous. And Lion's left awkward. Mr. Spud decides to play with the woodwork. He's not a carpenter, mind you, but he's got a chisel. Scraped it off here. But it has been a splattering of paint there.
And it's the biggest miss we'll see potentially all tournament long from Onza. The net was wide open. The gift presented itself, and unfortunately threw it to waste, but there is ample opportunity left in this game as Bluey. Support in the form of the bump. That time coming through from Onza. Mr. Spud now to open up the positioning for this SEA Dragons roster. So they're just waiting for their turn next in line. The demos keep on flooding through.
Mr. Spud's just gathered himself. Lion, who was demoed previously, chance for full boost, and with the new mechanic since last season as well, we barely even touch on this fact. They can see where the spawn is as Lion tips it away. The breezy flick from the Musty, not going to necessarily play dividends there from Bluey. Consecutive 50s by Onza, and there is a chance for the SEA Dragons to gather a bit of momentum. Gone it goes, and Bluey and Onza's up here. Are they freestylers? Because somebody pre-jumped from a mile away.
Oh, this could be a chance! And Ritzy's there. I could see him going downfield for the bump. I could see the pass. And they've made it work. It's magic from the SEA Dragons.
For the first time, in qualifier 1 of season 2, the British Army Buzzards trail in a match spicy in the significance here in the grand final. Now it's their turn for the diversity of what they have to offer. Straight it goes in the defensive, mind you. Third phase of play from the SEA Dragons, cut short, mind you. Mr. Spud with the 50, and now it's on to with a chance, surely.
Trying to put him under the cosh, and the pre-jumps are coming out now to disrupt those backboard defenders as Bluey is beaten. Mr. Spud with boost in the tank to squeeze it towards the infield, but no power on the touch. Perhaps a bit overzealous there, but Mr. Spud's still in control.
Still on the ball. Delays and delays. Trying to get a more favourable fit deep with that little boost here. Ritzy needs a touch, and that's wide. Should have gone to Specsavers, Bluey. That needed to have been tucked home.
He didn't see the defender missing. He saw the read on the defender, and the touch didn't come through, and it's unlucky. But the British Army Esports players are just wishing they would have been a bit more optimistic here, as Onza's going to stretch for a difficult shot. Bluey, no boost in the tank to make ends meet. And they're struggling. They really are at this stage in the game, lying for one big punch downfield. Ritzy now to see his way to the corner.
They were one game away, essentially a goal in a few seconds, and 3 separate occasions. Lion and Ritzy lap seating around. Scrims, they were dominating the likes of Omnia, even boost over Ball, the eventual champions of Season 1. And Mr. Spud decides to bring the Meisher. That one is right on target. Tea time. Well, I hope you like bangers and Meish.
Baked to perfection. Fresh goods on offer from SDA Dragons and the British Army Esports Buzzards. Maybe a bit of a discounted performance from their end. It's 2 games now to the Dragons, and we reflect back on the opener of this series, Danny, and we thought that the Buzzards might have just had that special something. But as is suggested in the chat, it is a valiant effort moving forward into that game too. But Danny, it's a best of 5 in the finals. Buzzards need a response right now.
Certainly do, but I'll take a moment right now. Don't ever go in the supermarket with Psycho. Especially when he has a hammer in his hand. Just a word of warning.
Look, before people start to get too concerned, we are talking about the hit game supermarket together. I'm not going around with any hammers. Hammer Saints potentially looking on into this match, who knows? As Mr. Spud at the back, the first to take full possession.
There was probably sheer panic of everybody thinking Psycho finally lost, had enough of working with me. But it won't be Hammer Saints' turn, and it certainly won't be Hammer time either. It's Lion on the ball, 2-1 up, and the Dragons looking for the goal.
Oh.
That will make them champions of Qualifier 1.
Goal for Ritzy, and smiles all around. Not for the British Army Esports camp. That is gonna hurt.
Still time to persevere. They need a goal quickly to settle any sort of sense of self-belief and confidence to essentially a self-fulfilling prophecy, as that's a triple commit. Bluey with the vital second touch as well. 3rd, 4th, maybe he might be greedy for a 5th one. He's done exactly that. Ritzy up, Lion XY, and there he is, the sole man right now.
Bluey, DreamHack champion of a bygone era of this wonderful game. Long has he set the tone for what professional Rocket League can aspire to look like as one of the greats. Maybe he's going to be the player to step up to the plate and get it done the hard way. We've seen just how selfless he's been in the play, but it's been players like a Ruck, or Wuck as he's otherwise known, breathing some real belief into this Army roster. But it's a big whiff and almost a conceded second.
Scaved knees to get that one away. Lion rotates back, and he's sharpened himself right up, and there he is. Never letting limbo. There once again it goes. I had a brave look here, at least the caster cam, the shake of a head from Psycho. Former serial Worlds contender himself, he knows what it's like to be on the big stage too. Just like the champion himself at DreamHack. They've got themselves back into it. Over to you.
Well, it's a shame I was knocked out rather quickly. Bluey knows how to keep the grit and determination alive. But it's really been Wuck who's been that sort of hero figure, dare I say, for the Buzzards today. Always is he finding himself in those right positions at the right time to make ends meet. as Mr. Spud with one big boom downfield.
Well, is the price going to be right? How good is that estimation? As on to straight down, it's a nice pinch and everybody backs away. Lion, Demo, Ritzy curves and shakes around, trying to out-dribble, outplay, and Bluey with the crossbar and a kiss of death. That one will be a reminder. Do not forget who I am.
Oh, it's perfect. It's absolutely perfect. And I reckon if that was direct on target, it's saved away. The keeper can grab it. Bar down might have been the only choice. And somehow he's made it work.
The little magician does it again. And it's Lion over to Ritzy in the semi-finalists of last season. Now at the quandary. How do you break him down? How do you get through Onza? How do you get through all three?
I'm sure spectators at home just looking in awe as somehow the SCA Dragons are keeping themselves in this series. In this very, very big game, when the spotlights are brightest, because it could have easily been 3. It could have been 4 so far for the Buzzards. It's been a complete change of pace, Danny.
As a much needed sort of situation, we've seen some blowouts this evening. And there's the third one. So far, 4-2, 2-1, 2-0 has been the game. With the Buzzards leading was a nice sort of nip and tuck. But since then, it's been the Dragons. But a decider, game 5, that's where we should be going, Psycho.
Of course, a giant thank you to RSC for getting involved on the stream action. I'm sure many familiar faces within your circuit have been and gone today, and maybe are in this final today, as Mr. Spud is going to open the floodgates yet again. It's a brilliantly placed shot, but just nobody left home.
You want to talk about grassroots levels? Lion played last season, if memory serves me right as well. Done okay, but wasn't to his standards. Doesn't get the results. And he looks for what the next step is to get his toolkit fully fit, fully ready to make that adjustments to become a champion. He's been many times before, winning the qualifiers here, at least at BFBS. And Bluey is currently denying him another title to his already illustrious career. And his back's up there, Mr. Spud, to go right through. 40-odd seconds here, rummaging around. They just need one goal to cause doubt here.
I think SCA Dragons need to seriously rummage into that playbook and figure out how they can make the most of a dire situation. Spud slightly off target. And it's painful for the Dragons because that was the move. It was all in. 3 players lobbed downfield, some hunting for the demo, some hunting for the ball, and some for the follow-up. But is there going to be another chance like that?
That's a problem with a Welsh Spud. Not as good as an Irish one. That would have been placed perfectly. No issue, no problem. Everybody would have been fed on pure carbohydrates. But I think right now, Psycho, it's a game of sweat. Who, unfortunately, is dripping in it?
Wow. The energy and the tempo set by the Buzzards. SCA Dragons left chasing. And we've seen a flip-flop in quality and performance from these sides throughout the series. And maybe, just maybe, they're leaving their best till last, Danny.
Well, they are. It's a risky strategy, but you have to reserve a bit of energy in a competition format, especially in this sort of type of environment. But at this sort of point in time, I would also argue it goes out of the window. It's instinct that takes over.
Absolutely, and I do believe we've just had a quick little server downage. And so we're going to get the game restarted as quick as possible. But my goodness, Danny. Oh, wow. JDM saying in chat, you got your 3-2 game, Psycho. You should be happy. And you know what? I am. It's been a treat, this grand final so far.
No, it hasn't. No, it hasn't, Sego. Because we're only getting 5 games. We wanted more.
Well, maybe moving forward to the next weeks to come, we might be seeing these very stars shine bright again as the lobby is being rebooted as we speak. I'm just letting the players know they are good to rejoin the turf ahead of what is our final game of the day, Danny.
Well, it's the pristine quality of today's modern game. If it was back in the old days, it would have still been mud and sand as they got the pitch repaired. But you know what, Seiko? 5 minutes, slight delay. You know, it's a hydration break. What do you say if you're in the coach's point of view at the moment?
Oh, Daddy, we had quite the notes document going into this about all of the players and some of the facts that they've got to bring to the table, the history, the colour we can add into the broadcast. And Danny had and I don't mean to leak it too much, Danny, but he had a small segment known as Outside Fillers. It said one line, hydration break, World Cup. There you go, Danny. Here's your hydration break. I hope you're happy.
Thank you very much. And you think after nearly 10 years as an RL commentator, the notes would be a lot more detailed than that, but sometimes the simplicity at one point, that's all what you need. And you know what, Seiko? If you give the player one chance, one opportunity, who do you want to take it in this final?
Well, to me, the Buzzards in that last game, they looked almost unstoppable. But I think it's just one of those where you don't want to call it. You don't want to speak it into existence. You want to let the drama unfold on the pitch. And we are just about ready and raring to go for what is the Grand Finals, the final game of the Grand Finals, here in the first main event playoffs of the BFBS Pro League Season 2. Of course, the finest players from across the UK Armed Forces community battled it out, and only 2 teams remain.
Certainly so, and I'll even link it as further on that sort of document that's been circulated around us commentators. Many of the players, the likes of Bluey, you know, will have his family, friends supporting him, last season's teammates and fellow rivals, the likes of Hammer since EO4, tuning in, supporting the likes of Lion and Ritzy, the somewhat, if you want to call it, the outsiders, are trying to, you know, disrupt and cause a few issues here. And that one will be an upsetter, not from the outside, directly into the heart of the net. That was
such a smart touch to feed through the bump, and he's almost got both in one foul swoop. The bump on the first man attacking, and that last defender just trying to play dodge. And there was no contact to be found. It's that star man, Bluey. What a difference he can make and has made throughout his lengthy history as a player as he passes that ball infield, saved away by Spud off the crossbar. And they have, importantly, kept the goal deficit as narrow as can be.
From a neutral's point of view, you either wanted 2 things. Game 5 to go a lengthy woe, and maybe into the OT scenario, or an early goal, forcing one side to come out the play. It's now thumped in by 2. The dream, the hack champion of old. Now the British Army has now established just perhaps champions-elect here.
50-50, 1. Final defender slapped away. And it's Wuk who did all the heavy lifting there. Bluey, all he had to do was tap it in. And he is never, ever going to miss a chance like that. He's going to make it awkward down off the ceiling now. SEA Dragons fighting for glory from the back.
And Ritzy done everything he could there. Got it up. 2 consecutive 50s. That's a fake. And Mr. Spud wasn't quick enough. Oh, that should have been buried.
Oh, it's a dangerous bump as well. Just to try and disrupt that defence a little bit more. Lion infield for the crossfield pass over to Spud. As Ritzy's surely going to be eyeing up the next challenge. Spud left to get in the mix instead as Wuck tees himself up for a 50. Wins the challenge, and just look at the hunger from the Buzzers to add to their tally.
You can't blame them in that kind of mood. And Bluey's up. It will be Lion last player back as well. Ritzy actually gets a defensive touch here. Grabs the boost as well. Infield pass, surely. Gone it goes. Does not develop into the play, the opportunity. The comeback still awaits.
Ritzy, smart clearance to the side, and Mr. Spud lies in the ball's wake. But he couldn't get past Wuck. So quick is that player in the attack. Onza now for a free chance. He's going to go for the touch off the ceiling. And I've got a feeling he could have looked towards goal. Maybe beat himself to the play there, but nonetheless. SEA Dragons pushing towards the corner.
Infield pass. Oh, if he had boost a bit more different time, could have been the outcome that they were hoping for the SEA Dragons. Once again, they play from the back line. Soft touch into the... essentially a through ball to the striker awaiting, that was Mr. Spud. He is now out at the play. Lion gone. Now it's a defensive game, and you've got about 2-3 clean opportunities from here on now based on how much time is left.
Ritzy, one hefty clear forwards, but no numbers downfield to help the cause. As Bluey gets his important touch. That's his job done for the next 10 odd seconds as Wuck feeds his way into the play. Needs to sustain the attack as best as he can here as that ball in front of the net. It's dangerous, but Ritzy's there, but there's no numbers to continue the charge. The SEA Dragons eyeing up the barrel of defeat in game number 5.
You saw the golden text, and it is alarm bells. And Mr. Spud once again with an important save, but it will mean nothing if they cannot shift this ball downfield.
Ritzy downfield, Lion there to follow up. And Onza a little wasteful on the touch, but he's made it difficult for Spud. And Lion's been baited out. That one's on target, or is it? Spud's going to put it in his own back net. There's no option. There's no alternative. He's pinned to the wall, and there's simply nowhere to go.
He's chipped it badly, and the chances are fried. It's a cruel game sometimes, but they had their opportunities, squandered them away, and it's essentially a victory lap for the side that has improved arguably the most since season 1.
Onza coming into this season was thinking, you know what, maybe it's the time to hang up the sticks. Maybe my legacy's over. And he came out of the inter-services last year, I imagine, with a slightly different mindset to him. He's got renewed hope. Bluey and Wuck, what a difference they've made to this Buzzards lineup. But the stardom in Onza, the ever-present tri-service legend in Rocket League, is finally seeing his eyes on victory, Danny. They've done it.
They certainly have. And the Pro League Season 2 Qualifier 1 champions. You see it on your screens quite literally. It's the British Army's very own Buzzards. They haven't been champions in a long time, but it has been one in the waiting. The former semi-finalists unfortunately cannot do it when they had a 2-1 series lead. But again, Psycho, it sets us up quite nicely for a long campaign.
It absolutely does. And that is just one of the 4 main events done and dusted, Danny. And Stelios in chat with a little bit of foreshadowing. He can't help himself, can he? He says, if you think Bluey was a problem, wait until you see what's coming. Well, I think we're going to leave that up to, well, the mind's interpretation of what the RAF can bring to the table, Danny, because at the moment it seems like no matter what talents they throw at it, this Buzzards team is always going to be a threat.
Well, they certainly are going to be a threat. You know, at that point, you'd be sort of sitting there and you're sincerely hoping for something to occur here. There's already been one BFBS champion, Psycho, as you rightly know, and a few people at home in the form of Phoenix in terms of the F1 here. But, we may as well see the victory lap that the British Army just had to endure to get their first at least win on the board. The notch on the belt is just, can they lift the main trophy later on, though?
Absolutely. And here was that very journey, Danny, that they had to arduously work their way through to get through that grand finals. And of course, they weren't in the community qualifiers. They were invited straight to the Swiss stage as the best that the British Army had to offer. And they came into this knowing that they may potentially be favourites. And boy, have they added some results to raise a few eyebrows. We look at where they started then in the upper round of 6 against the British Army Esports Falcons, a team not to be scoffed at whatsoever, and a team that beat the RAF Typhoons in what was a shock round in that lower round of 6. Breezed their way through the semi-finals against the Storm Shadows as well, and then that performance, well, it left nothing to be desired.
Certainly so, when you can see that their competition this evening that was in that grand final wasn't too bad either. Sat in that upper round, similar story, 3-0, and waited for the likes of their opposition to come right on through. And you know what? It's one of those ones that they'll feel it slip through their fingertips. But again, that's the beauty of the game. And you know what? We get to do it all over again, Psycho.
We absolutely do, but just reflecting on today's events, the community qualifier, the Swiss stage overall, Danny, I think what is just so refreshing is how Tri-Service Rocket League has grown from this time last year, Danny. Maybe there was 9 or 10 teams in total representing the UK Armed Forces Rocket League rosters. 19 was the number we had totaled for the community qualifier 1, and it's just absurd, the level of talent which has been sort of injected into the mix since this time last year. But for yourself, Danny, how is it to be back?
Well, it's always good to be back, Psycho. I mean, I just sat there last season, talking through Psycho all the way through it and seeing the RAF community grow, the British Army go right through, the Royal Navy, the UVG, others in the likes of, from the sort of the connection base. Like, so you see the SEA Dragons this season come round. It was about, give or take, 15 teams back a year ago for the very first ever qualifier, and you sat there and sort of go, what is next? And I sat there on the last broadcast on the RAF, and it was, 5 years since we first started there, mind you, Psycho. I sat there and looked at it, from 1-2 teams to 8 teams. It's been impressive how good and how quickly everything has developed. But it only happens by everybody taking part of it, and for that, it's a massive thank you for that too.
Of course, and a huge thank you as well to the Tri-Service leads, who without them, I'm sure these teams wouldn't be put together with as much ease. And boy, did they hold their cards until the very last second, Danny. I was still confused as to what the rosters would look like days before the first community qualifier, but we're going to get to do it all over again and relive the moments from this main event next Tuesday on the second community qualifier, and the Swiss the day after on the Wednesday. 7 p.m. UK time is the place and the time you need to be. BFBS Esports. You don't want to miss it next week. We'll be back with CQ2 very, very soon. See you later.